should go.
Yeah.
What is up, everyone? We are live, coming to you from our new camera, which I'm really excited about. Hopefully we'll stay live this week.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, wouldn't it? It'd be super nice. I am Shannon, aka Small Press Shannon, and we are live here at Bat City Comic Professionals. And as usual, I am here with my amazing co-host, Philip, aka Wednesday Phil. How's it going, Phil?
Doing well. Enjoying the ice storm.
You're enjoying it?
Yes.
Because you didn't have to go to work?
Yes, that. But also, I don't go out and spend money. Like, I'm too cold to even spend money, so it's kind of nice.
That is nice.
You know, being more frugal. But now I'm seeing these omnibuses that are holding the camera up, and I'm like, whoa.
I actually told Matt when he put the camera up on that one that's on top, I was
Yes.
like, oh man, I should have shown that off. We actually, for those of you who can't see, which is everybody not on this side of the camera, we have a Harley Quinn Omnibus Volume 1 from Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, which is super dope, and I totally forgot that we had it until Matt put the camera on top of it, and I was like, oh man, I should have brought that in. We got more music going. And also, we've got Phil. Phil, you brought along
I did not.
He brought you? I don't know, we rode in the same car, so...
He drove, but he somehow came along.
Yeah, we've got Keymaster Nigel with us today. What's up, Nigel?
What's up? Yeah, I snuck in.
Yay!
Yeah.
I love it when you sneak in because it means I get 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my favorite.
I can't show up empty-handed.
Yes, and we drink both bottles when you're on the show, which makes it my favorite.
I'm sorry I hold y'all back every week.
It's okay.
I'm like, one glass is enough for me.
And that's fine, because I get, like, the whole bottle when it's
Yeah,
you,
that's true.
because you only drink the one glass.
So there's no need for the second bottle.
It's still, well, I need it, I guess, because Nigel, you know.
Well, yes.
And we get 2 styles. So, I guess to kick it off, we're starting with Cupcake. And this is the original Cupcake flavor. This isn't, like, they have, it's a line. Here, you want to take it, Phil?
Oh, yes.
It's a brand... Cupcake is the vineyard. It's like the name of the vineyard. They have a couple different flavors. This is their original. So this is blackberry. I think it's got a little bit of plum, spice, and notes of espresso in it. So Nigel's worried that I'm going to die if I drink this because there might be caffeine in it because there's notes of espresso. But yeah, it's a Cab Sav and it's California wine. And we love the red velvet cupcake, but I've never had the regular. So I'm going to give it a try.
It says enjoy with a burger and truffle fries or at a dinner party with friends.
This is good.
What
This
are
is
truffle
like
fries?
Truffle.
Fries.
Oh my God.
Fries? You've never had truffle fries?
That's why I'm asking what
Oh my
they
gosh.
are.
They're French fries with like truffle oil on them. They have them at the Alamo Draft House. Or at least they used to.
Usually
Do
you
they?
put Parmesan or something on top
Yeah.
of it.
It's
That doesn't taste like a cupcake at all.
No,
No.
the red velvet one tastes like a red
This is
velvet
a bottle
cupcake.
of
This is
Sorely disappointed. I was
I
like, this
will
is going to be delicious.
I will personally
Very
buy you the
blackberry.
red velvet one. Yeah, because this one's blackberry, so it's going to be a little more
We were looking. He was
acidic.
excited when he saw it.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the one they were talking about.
No.
Yeah. I was like, we're finally going to drink it tonight if you're going to be here.
I'll have to get the red velvet one for you because that one's because you like the sweet ones and the red velvet one really tastes like a cupcake.
Does it
This-
say on this bottle that it doesn't taste like a cupcake?
I don't think so, but it says it goes with burgers and truffle fries,
Right.
and like I don't usually,
Still a misleading label, though.
it does have a cupcake.
Yeah,
on it.
there's even a picture of a cup.
Well, so cupcake wine, you're delicious, but apparently your regular doesn't taste like a cupcake. So Phil's now disappointed. Do you want me to put that somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably should stay over there.
Right, we're in the middle this
I'll
week,
bring
so
more.
it's hard for. Right,
Oh, we should have set the second bottle of wine on that side.
it's over there next to Nigel
is.
already.
Oh, okay.
We're prepared.
Then you're good.
All right, so we got some comics this week. It wasn't a very big week, but it was a pretty solid week all around. Like there were some pretty good issues that came out, but
Yes.
wasn't in like comparison to some of the stacks we've had recently. This one wasn't that huge of a week.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't feel overwhelmed.
I definitely did not feel overwhelmed. I feel like this was the first time that I read all the books and had enough time to actually get through everything. A lot of new number ones, though,
There were.
which is always exciting for me.
And we're going to be rolling into that time period of the year where we see a lot of that. Like that beginning of March, we see a lot of number ones like really taking off for all the publishers. I know Marvel's March, like their catalog for March is just a bunch of number ones. I mean, like lots, like every other page in the Marvel previews catalog for March has a number one almost on it. And, I think they know that coming, into the holidays that people are gonna forget, like put comics aside for a couple weeks to pay for Christmas gifts and things like that. So by the time they get back around, they'll have forgotten. And then they know at the beginning of the year, like nobody has any money left because you spent it all on Christmas presents or whatever holiday travels or anything like that. And so February, you start to like see a lot of the series like reignite, and then by March, it's like, okay, well now that you're back into comics again. Here's a stack of new number ones.
And those tax returns are hitting your bank account.
And those tax returns. I've already had people starting to come in saying, like, I got my tax return, so give me my box. And I'm like, okay, let's get started. Like, and speaking of getting started, let's wind down this weekend with some comic books, kicking it off with one I know everybody loves, Chicken Devil, number 4 from Aftershock.
Yes. 4 of potentially 4?
Did it say to be continued?
So it said, I think it said the end for now.
I think that might be what it said. I couldn't remember how they concluded this particular one.
The end for now, yeah. So I think this is the end of this arc, potentially. Yes. But if you have not had a chance to read Chicken Devil, it is essentially your lovable loser that fumbles his way into some really crazy drug-related mobster craziness.
Yeah. A lot of people who we tell what it's about, they're like, oh, that's like that one part of Breaking Bad. Because he does own a fast food chicken restaurant. And it's his business partner that gets him like tied into it. And he ends up having to do all of his mob fighting in his chicken suit from the mascot costume from the restaurants. And so it's ridiculous and fun, and I mean it's entirely predictable for the most part, but that's the point. Like, you're supposed to be just watching an action film on the adventure and enjoying this great art and storytelling.
Yes, and it's also really funny. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of moments in this issue in particular. There's a texting conversation where they're like, we're coming for you, and it's spelled Cumin, and he's like, oh, cumin's a spice.
It's great. There are, like, these kinds of things. Yeah. And then he's like, also, it's your, not your. Like, and I love that he's just, I love that, he has the mobsters and him have each other's phone numbers, and they just text each other, like, their attacks. Like, I loved the ridiculously of that concept, but then that he's just sitting there correcting their grammar, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I would expect to go down.
Yeah, this has easily been one of my favorite books that's out right now. The art's great. It's very colorful. I feel like sometimes maybe the word balloons are a tad bit jarring when I'm trying to pay attention to all the explosions. And,
I can see that.
But overall, this is so much fun.
Yeah. And I really like the colors in this book. Yes. Something I never think we talk about enough in comic books is the colorist and the colors. And the colors on this book are just, they're so good because they're almost watercolor, but not quite. And so it's a really cool blend of medium in the way that the color is done. And I think it really plays into the action of the story really well.
Yes. Yeah. I can't say enough about this. Based on the way it ended, I definitely need more.
Absolutely.
Because they've definitely set up for more awesomeness, and I think essentially it's just going to be a chicken-headed vigilante.
Yeah. And
that's it.
If you started issue 1 and you were like, I don't know if this is for me, it's only 4 issues. Keep going because you're gonna, it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
I imagine someone took a bunch of drugs and then came up with their own like Grand Theft Auto storyline. I feel like that's what I'm reading.
Okay, well now I gotta read it.
Yeah. It's a ton of fun. It's just one of those, like, after you read all the heavy stuff, you know, maybe you've cried, you've come off your Jeff Lemire book.
I was just gonna say, you've put your Jeff Lemire
You turn
away.
to Chicken Devil, and it brings your spirits right back up.
And I think we have all 4 issues still in stock. So, and it is Aftershock, and they've been pretty quick on their trade turnaround recently. So, if you're like, I'd rather wait for a trade, they're probably going to have one out not too long from now. And they have been good at greenlighting second volumes recently, too. Yeah. So, hopefully we'll see more Chicken Devil. But if you can't wait, we should have most of the issues in stock. So, you should definitely check it out. Human Remains, issue 5 from Vault. This is one that even Vault said, I think this is coming out last week, and then the paper, like, they didn't even know with the paper shortage, like, if it hit shelves last week or this week, because so many people, like, it's just up in the air with this one. But this is Peter Milligan writing a story about a world where giant alien creatures have come to Earth, and basically, if you experience too much, like, if you emote too much, these giant alien creatures will come and eat you. And just, like, rip you apart and destroy you. And so you can't have any sort of emotion at all. And it started out really just like that. And Peter Milligan has really, like, worked more and more of a story. And, like, now we have a scientist who's trying to figure out how to kill them. But we have the war general, like, who is trying to figure out how to use them, and now we've brought in these psychics in this psychic mediums in this issue who are like, oh, we might be able to figure out how to communicate with them better, and it gets weirder every issue in the best way possible for how weird it's really just becoming.
And it's Peter Milligan.
So
you know it can get really weird.
Yeah, and I think it will continue to do so, and I don't know how they're going to get out of where they keep going, but honestly, like, it feels very much like an actual horror version of Independence Day, because, like, they've got one of the creatures, like, in a thing, and they're constantly trying to have the conversation with them, and I just expect, like, Bill Pullman to come in and be like having a conversation with the alien creature, and because the last 2 issues have really felt like that, but it's really good, and we've got so many different people that we're kind of following along that all seem to be a little bit interconnected, and just their human side of their relationships. I mean, it plays into the name, like, they are what remains of humanity, but also, like, you know, humans remain, and it's been really good. And this is one that I think we have all the issues, and it's a story that no matter how many times you pick it up, like, and you read it, you're like, okay, I totally know where this issue is going to go. And then Peter Milligan just takes it in a completely weird direction. And you're like, okay, never mind. I have no idea where this book is going. Just do whatever you want, Peter. I'm here for the ride.
Is this the final issue of
the arc? I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we'll have one more of the arc. They didn't say yet, but the way that this issue ended, that would be a really weird spot for a cliffhanger, but, you know, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I was kind of curious if maybe it was going to be like a 10-issue series and that's it. Because that seems to be something that Vault kind of likes to do.
They like to do that. They like to do the 8 and just put it all in one trade, too, though. So this might be something that just keeps going until it fulfills, like, the whole story and then puts in one trade. So I could see them ending in an 8, honestly. Like, I think we're on issue 5 now, and I think 3 more issues could wrap up the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of depends if they keep going in the direction that they're going, because, like, the general's starting to lose his mind, and, like, there might be, like, some weird connection between him and these aliens at this point. So it's like they could either blow up the universe or they could shrink it down and finish the story. So it's kind of, where do they want to go? We'll see. But I haven't seen. I'd have to look and see, like, how many issues it says it has, but I think it's gonna go for at least 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Echolands. This is issue, I don't know.
6.
Thank you. I just am here for this Francavilla cover.
Yeah, I'm going to be entirely honest. This is one of those books that I do not actually look at the words.
No. Yeah, I can see that.
Did he do the interior?
No.
No. Okay.
No. It's J.H. Williams III.
Oh. Love those colors.
Good lord.
Yeah, so I got onto J.H. Williams when he did the Batwoman, the New 52 Batwoman. And it had this very crazy art very minimal colors, a lot of like black, whites, and reds, kind of like what we see a lot today. And it's just so amazing. He's one of those artists too that really likes to play with panel layouts. Something that, you know, McFarlane started doing way back in the 90s. And I feel like he's just one of those artists that does really well with that. And this is high fantasy, you know, kind of that sci-fi. But again, I'm actually not looking at the ones.
Yeah, this
I'm
one
really
is
not.
definitely something that I would put on a coffee table. Like, I want a
Yes.
collected edition of this on a coffee table.
It looks
Yes.
like every page is a splash page.
Every page
It
is
is.
a splash page.
It is.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
that's what I've always really liked about J.H. Williams. And the moment I saw even the cover for issue 1 in previews, I thought, "What? I don't care what this is. I really want it."
And he's doing the whole thing, right? Like, everything
yes.
is him? Yeah.
Let me see if I can find another colorful. Well, here's some of the non-splash pagey kind of stuff. So there's a story going along, and I remember the first issue. It was like a female lead who was maybe a thief, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, in this, like, high fantasy world.
Yes. And there is moments where he puts like other pop culture kind of stuff laid throughout. But I think you're paying for the artwork in this book.
Absolutely. And it is sideways, like, in case you
Yes,
didn't catch that
yeah.
from, like, how Phil's holding it. But it is still the same exact size as a comic book.
Mhm.
It's just printed in the other direction. So if you come into the store, we actually will have it usually in the additional new comics bin, because I tried to put them on the shelf for a while, and because of the way that they're printed, you'd have to be sideways, and then they would flip. So just, it was really like hard to merchandise them on the shelf, and so I started putting them in the additional new comic box. But please, 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 if you come in and you see and you grab one out of the additional new comics box, feel free to actually take it out of the bag and board and open it, because
Yes.
again, the art is the best part. So open it up and look at it. Those additional new comics being in bags and boards isn't like they're restricted from being opened. We still want you to open it up and read it and check it out. We just don't have all the space in the world. So, and that one can't be merchandised like on the wall. So, what up, Robert? Robert says, "What's up, everybody?"
Hello.
Hey,
Happy
Robert.
birthday.
Yeah, hope you had a good birthday,
Yeah.
buddy.
That's
That's a great page. Great page.
I should have shown that one.
Well, you still
Look,
can.
I don't want to give it all away.
Too.
Right, you can show things you
All
like
right,
too.
I'll show
Nigel.
this splash page here. And I lost. There it is.
You're paying the $5 for the
There it
art,
is.
and again, I'm not even. God, that is a fantastic cover.
That Francavilla, gosh,
Yeah.
he had 4 covers this week. Like, Francavilla just had all of the covers, and I want to say that that's like crazy. Oh my God, there's like 4 Francavilla covers, but then I remember that I just look for his name on stuff and order it, so
Right.
it might just be because of that.
That's fair.
Yeah,
It's good. That's a
it's
good
a
thing,
good, it's a
though.
good problem to have.
Yeah.
Mirka Andolfo is back with issue 7 of Sweet Paprika from Image Comics. This is one of those books, like, so I always teeter on, like, is Mirka, like, are Mirka's books for me or not? And this one, it's just been fantastic, because it's as with everything in the Mirka Andolfo world, it's an angels and demons kind of story. And this young demon girl is the, like, leader of, like, she's like a head editor at a publishing company, and now she's like fallen in love with this guy who runs this other publishing company. But the problem is that she's always, like, been made to feel bad for the concept of sex and being sexy by her dad. So she has no idea, like, how to kiss people. She has no idea how to, like, have orgasms or be into sex or anything like that. And so she doesn't feel like she knows how to be sexy. So she's now teamed up with one of the angels who's the delivery boy, and he's trying to help her, like, open up to the idea of being comfortable with sexuality before she actually goes out on a date with this guy, this super sexy guy that she wants to date. So of course you've actually got all the makings for a great romantic comedy right there, like the high-powered executive, the delivery boy that she thinks is an idiot. They've been working together to see if she could find out how to express her sexuality, and now she's actually starting to have feelings for him. So it's a really, like, off-the-wall kind of way to get to a rom-com, but it's essentially just a romantic comedy where everything goes wrong every issue. And it's like she finally gets to the point where she's like, I think I like am feeling something, and then something terrible happens. And in this issue, her ex-boyfriend, who doesn't want her to end up with the superpowered executive, and this girl that hates her from work find where they are, and they show up like right where she's like in her moment. And then they like call the guy that she's trying to date, and they're like, hey, guess who we ran into? And so it becomes this big, exactly like those like horrible like gone wrong like meet cute moments. Every issue I'm like, I want to see where this goes kind of thing, and every issue it just gets more and more adorable, and kind of builds into that romantic comedy aspect a little bit more. But it is Mirka and Doffel, so, like, don't give it to a child, because there's going to be a lot of boobs, and, like, Mirka, she's known for, like, going full sexy and these things, and so, like, if it's something, like, this is not a this is, like, a rated, like, R rom-com kind of thing, so it's not something you'd want to give to a child, but it's still really cute and adorable if you're looking for something just lighthearted and funny, like, completely funny, and still, like, a fun romantic comedy. Like, this is the one. Okay. But on the adult side.
I've always been intimidated by Mirka and Doffel.
I understand. Like, like every time, because sometimes
as you should be.
Like Unholy came out, and it was kind of feels the same as like looks like it's Unholy.
Unnatural.
No, Unnatural too, but Unholy was the one.
Unnatural was the one where I was like, ooh, I don't know if I could do this.
Yes.
No.
I agree. And then the Unholy series was an angel and demon story, and I was like, when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is probably another one of those. And so, but the first one, I was like, oh, that sounds cute, like when I ordered it. And so I ordered a lot. And then with the second one, I was like, oh, this is another one of those, like, racy angel demon stories that I don't really think, like, is a lot of our clientele. So I didn't order as much for the second one. And then I read issue 1, and I was like, this is kind of awesome. And then I read issue 2, and I was like, I need to go back to ordering more of this. And then, like, each week, I'm like, I'm so glad I have an issue, like, for the shelf and for myself, because this is really, it's hilarious. Like, everything goes wrong. Like, this is one of those, like, you could put, like, Chris Evans in as, like, the angel boy, and he would be, like, kind of like how he is in The Losers, where he's just, like, completely, like, trying to be, like, funny, but nobody else is laughing. Like, that's kind of how, like, this, like, it reminds me of the elevator scene in The Losers. Like, every time I read it, that's how that character, like, the angel, plays off to me. It's like, he, like, even where he's, like, liking the angle of the dangle ladies, and, like, they all look at him and then get off the elevator. Like, that's kind of where this delivery boy falls. Like, he's, like, he says, like, the sexy thing, and then, like, nobody, like, responds to it, and it's like, I like this. I like where this is going. This is not as, like, intimidating as some of the other things I've seen come out from Mirka have been. So, try it out.
I definitely want to see a movie now with Chris Evans.
I would love
that
it.
role. Yeah,
actually, I'm just gonna, give me Chris Evans and Jenny Slate back together again and let them play these characters, and I'd be in for that. Nocterra, issue 7, the actual return of Nocterra since volume 1 ended. We had a one-shot come in of the Blacktop Bill, but we are back to the actual story now.
I was going to say, how's it only on issue 7?
Because Scott Snyder is a very busy man.
This is true.
Scott Snyder has a lot of projects, and he has a Substack now. Well, I guess he was one of the first ones for Substack, so, which I keep saying, if Scott Snyder was as smart as I think he is, he would make the next volume of Witches only available on his Substack. And then I would be very angry, but also it would make everybody pay for his Substack.
I would join.
Yeah. So
I will gladly hold off until the physical trade comes out.
Oh, I would order both. I would order it all. I can't wait. If Witches came, I would read it. But Nocterra is back with issue 7, the start of volume 2, and we are now on a quest to save the world. Volume 1 was kind of, this is what happened to the world. We lost the sun. Everything is awful. There's, we had to save, it was a story of siblings trying to save each other. Got really emotionally invested, and then they realized that nobody else is going to try to save the world, and all the things they knew were lies. So if they're going to bring back the sun and save the world, it's up to them to do it. And I like this ragtag team of people that we've got kind of working together now to do it. And so many badass female characters coming into this team.
Okay.
I'm here for it. This has been great. We're definitely going to move more into that Scott Snyder action in volume 2.
Sweet.
So if you're like, oh, I really like Scott Snyder, but like I'm a big fan of when he does more of those action books, like his, like Batman and his Metal and all of that. This is going to be, I think volume 2 is going to be more of the action, whereas volume 1 was more of the story and the setup. We're definitely seeing more action, and we find out by the end of issue 7 why we needed a Blacktop Bill special.
Okay.
So we find, because I was like, oh, I don't really know why we had a whole special for him, but now we do. Robert says loves Tony Daniels' art on this book.
I mean, you
Yes.
can't go wrong with Tony Daniel. Especially with like the Batman and detective stuff that Tony was doing before. I mean, I feel silly for not picking this up and continuing it. I think I picked up issue 1
Yeah.
and then kind of fell off, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book.
And I think, was I right? I think, yeah, this is Tony S. Daniels' first time ever working with Image.
Really?
Was Noctera. So this was, Tony Daniels' first Image work was Noctera.
Interesting.
Dude, I know so much about every artist and writer's work with Image now because of this great book that I'm going to tell you about later. But like, I'm like, oh, I can tell you their first thing now. Like, I'm going to memorize this
Oh my
book.
gosh.
It's my pick of the week because we're going to talk about it later. I'm not even going to.
You could write the history of
It's
Image Comics.
They already did. That's what we're going to talk about. I personally don't know.
I see.
I personally
This
don't
is the
know
book.
jack shit about Image Comics until I read this book. This goes up here. Or did you put this in Picks of the Week because you want to talk about it?
No, I put it in the wrong stack.
Okay. Nobody's Child is back from Behemoth. This is issue 5. This is the story of a man who is working to protect the last white rhino on Earth. And he is in Africa, and they have decided that white rhino cells are the only cure to a new disease and most diseases. And so everybody is coming for this rhino. Plus, you also have all of like the usual people who are trying to poach the animal. And he is not going to let that happen. So it's kind of like a boy and his dog kind of story, except his dog is a rhino. Like in issue 1 or 2, there's a really cute moment where like he wakes up in the middle of the like night or early morning and the rhino's not there and he thinks somebody stole it and he's like running around like, oh my god, like, and he's like got his guns and he's like gonna shoot stuff, and then he looks and the rhino's like hiding in the field and it like can't really hide because it's a rhino, and he's like, what are you doing? And the rhino like runs and like fake charges him, and he was like, no, you can't do that, like he's like trying to ingrain into this rhino that his life is in danger. So great story. Just another one of those books that just kind of showed that Behemoth is on the rise as a publisher, putting more and more new titles out that are really getting people's attention. And we're 5 issues into this. I don't know how much more. This might be if we're going to keep going with this one, but it's another one of those stories that I definitely could keep going with because it's just a cute. Like, it's an action-packed thing, don't get me wrong, but I just think it's cute that we got a boy and his dog and it's a rhino. But this is an action-packed, like, is he going to stop everybody? Like, how's it going to go? Like, John Wick protecting his dog kind of thing. But
Pretty sure rhinos have been referred to as, like, tank puppies anyways.
they have, yeah. You know, who doesn't want a tank puppy?
I want a tank puppy.
Well, I can't afford a rhino, but I'll take you to the zoo in San Antonio and you can see the rhinos.
I'll settle for that.
Okay, sounds good.
Trip to the zoo.
Getting my hopes up? No.
I love the zoo in San Antonio, so I'm totally fine. You have to drive though, because I don't. Also, I don't have any money, but I'll go with you.
We'll stand outside the zoo.
Yeah, it'll be great. I know how to get there.
Maybe they have a Groupon?
Probably. My mom might be like a zoo member.
I'm totally down to go. I love the zoo.
Yeah, let me ask my mom. She might be a zoo member. She loves the zoo too. So, a thing called Truth Issue. What is it, Phil? 4? 4
Issue
from
4.
Image Comics. Phil, take it away because I know you got some notes on this one.
This is a friendship road trip. A buddy. It's one of those like unlikely duos comes together and goes on a road trip. And this is one of those books that you told me that I would enjoy.
And I was right.
And after the first issue, I was like, yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. And then, of course, issue 2 came, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Because you have one girl who is traveling Europe recreating movie scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And this was something that was passed along to her as a challenge from her brother, who had recently died of an illness that is incurable?
Yeah, incurable disease,
okay.
yes.
And basically she has it too.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wants to complete this list before she dies. And she teams up with a doctor who is...
That teams up is a loose way of describing how they get together, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She acquires a partner in the doctor.
Yeah. By just procuring her car without any warning.
With her in it.
Yeah, she just so happened to decide to steal a car, and it's led off to this like really wonderful friendship of the doctor kind of letting loose a little bit, not being so, I guess uptight would maybe be the word I'm looking for. And it's just been wonderful. Like, I've really enjoyed this series, especially the relationship that's formed between the two. Although every time there's a moment where I'm like, oh, this is about to turn into a romance book, it kind of veers away from that.
There are definitely big hints on it.
Yes.
And it is... In the Image book that we're going to talk about later, it does actually reference it as a part of the, like, because the creative team and everything, but it does mention that it has an LGBTQIA connection. So whether that is just from the creative team or because we do know one of the characters is LGBTQ. But it does reference it as that. So I'm like, maybe, but also I was glad that in this issue we finally saw the people who were left behind actually noticed that they were missing. And so I like that we're seeing a little bit of that behind background characters actually trying to figure stuff out. Because that is going to obviously come in to be the big point in the climax of the story of where that connection of okay, well, these people, are they kidnapped? Did they run away? What happened? It's going to become a big part of the story.
The only thing I'm uncertain of is I thought I read somewhere that this was only 5 issues.
I guess it's not, because we are nowhere near done.
Yeah, you can't wrap this up.
No.
Yeah, they've just begun to open this world up. But yeah, I think this is a ton of fun. The art's great. The story's wonderful. There's a lot of really great characterization in this book. And it's just really well written. Yeah,
this is one of those that when I am in my stack of comics, it's either if I'm just depending on how long my day is, I might read it or how my week's been going. I might read it first just for the pump up of happy moments. Or if I know that my stack is really heavy that week, I'll put it towards the middle or closer to the end so that when Jeff Lemire rips my heart out in five different books, I have this happy thing to. But I also know that issue 5 is definitely going to break my heart in some way, and I'm not ready. I know we're getting to the point where there's going to be a heartbreaking moment, and then it'll fix itself because the previous book that Yolanda did was Alice in Leatherland, and there was that sad moment, and then the next one was okay, now the movie ends happy. So I'm hoping that so I know I'm impending this sad moment, but I know that we'll probably have a bounce back to a happy moment for an ending. At least fingers crossed.
Oh, I'm kind of thinking there's not going to be a sad ending at all because I feel like they kind of unloaded it early on, right? It wasn't we know that there's going to be something bad happening. Yeah. But I don't think this series is ever going to get to that point. I think it's going to cut off right before that. It's we know what's coming. We don't need to show. We don't need to show it. And again, Yolanda has done this before, where it seems that's what they like to do is make these heartfelt stories that do have a happy ending, because there's not a lot of happy endings in stories. And so I'm hoping we get that out of a thing called Truth, is that we get this happy, and they do wrap up their stories with really nice bows, and they feel like those feel good movies. So I'm hoping that this plays out in the same way. Me too.
Yeah. Something that probably is never happy is Newburn, issue 3, also from Image, and the one and only Chip Zdarsky.
Yes. Chip Zdarsky and Jacob
Phillips, yeah.
Yes.
Who we love.
Yeah, I mean, This is basically, I feel like, Chip Zdarsky doing his best Ed Brubaker impersonation.
And Jacob Phillips doing his best impersonation of his dad.
Yes, essentially. Because I do feel like at times I'm getting a lot of that feel with this book, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You have Newburn, who is basically a detective for all of the mob families.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of has this, like, he can go amongst all of them, and he solves the crimes that the police need to stay away from.
Yeah.
And he is your typical best in the business. He's been around forever. There's a whole bunch of stories about him. And in this story, which it feels like is over.
It did.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I definitely feel like we have...
I know, I was like, I had to look again and be like, how many issues did we go through? Because this felt like a wrap-up.
Yes, like, I'm pretty sure that this story is done, which I'm kind of hoping that this becomes like every 3 issues is like another mystery, kind of like an episode of like Criminal Minds or something, where it doesn't really take long. You kind of get a little back and forth and all these different world building things that you can do. Like, they introduce a place called the Black Castle in this issue,
right? Which was awesome.
Which is basically a giant. It's kind of like in John Wick, where everyone can go to the hotel and everything is off limits because it's all about making money and you don't want to mess up the money. So everyone can come here and try and work out their issues with all the different mafia families and stuff. Which is really cool. I kind of like that they introduced that. Makes me think that if they do continue on,
that's going to be a big thing,
right? Then like each 3 issues, they'll kind of peel back another layer of this this world. But I mean, it's such a great book, and it's Chip Zdarsky.
It's Chip Zdarsky, so you're not going to go wrong. It's going to be great. It's going to be perfectly written, and honestly, like, the fact that we think it's wrapped up means that it's only just beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it feels so, like, neatly tied. But at the same time, we just met all of the mob families. We've just seen the Black Castle. It's like Chip Zdarsky lays breadcrumbs. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, well, now that I've gotten your attention with this first little story, here's the rest of it.
Yes.
And, like, I feel like I feel like when we get to the end, like, Newburn would have to die or retire because the whole point is he's also training this assistant.
Yeah.
So it's like there's got to be something that goes, like, there's got to be something there still that we haven't reached yet, that as to why he felt it necessary to have one.
Right.
And so we're gonna find, and Chip Zdarsky's gonna find a way to, like, pull your heartstrings in the middle of it. So it's like, oh, now that I've got your attention and you think this is just a crime boss story, by the way, like, he's got this thing going on, and this is why I brought in an assistant, and here's the whole process, and now we're, like, doing this story. And by the way, the book was never about any of that in the first place. Yeah. Because that's the way Chip Zdarsky tells stories. And so, who knows what issue 4 is going to bring, but issues 1 through 3 were absolutely great, and if you're going off the rule of 3, and if you should keep going, you definitely will feel like you should keep going at the end of this. Yes,
because you kind of sit there and you're like, this has been really great, and now it feels over, but I don't want it to be over.
So I need more.
So it's like I definitely need to get more of this. So if you're definitely a fan of the Brubaker-Phillips combination, like, this is the next best thing.
Yeah. And which they're only doing hardcover books right now.
Which
so you should, if you
right.
need single issue, like, supplement for that, you get Chip Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips, and if you want your hardcover complete stories, you can still get your Brubaker and Sean.
Was the most recent one Pulp?
Reckless?
They did another one after that. I'm pretty sure it was Reckless.
There's like Reckless, and then there was something else that's been in the Reckless.
Destroy all the monsters, something like that.
I'm like, Destroy All Monsters is a Godzilla movie.
It seemed kind of a weird title
Isn't it a
for
video game too?
Ed Brubaker.
Godzilla video game?
No, the Alien video game.
No.
Yes.
Let's do this one out for Nigel so that he has something to do.
Yeah.
A Marvel book.
I get to talk.
It's all you.
So this book, it's an Allred and Milligan book. I picked it up because I'm a fan of their run on X-Force. And they had some issues after that called Ecstatics, which I read one issue. I'm not as well versed in it as I'd like to be, and I think that would have helped if I had, because there's definitely pinning up these two teams, the Excellent and the Ecstatics, and they kind of delve into a little bit of history between both and some of the beef that they might have. So if you're familiar with those teams, then feel free to just jump right in this book. But I mean, I got it for the all red art more than anything.
Word.
But I mean, it is a fun story as well. They're got some squabbles about trying to be who's the most popular team. That's really what they're competing for, and they're trying to do reality shows and whatnot.
They should have brought the Great Lake Avengers into that too.
I would not be surprised if they showed up.
Like, oh, all the teams that nobody really cares about.
Give me that crossover.
Which one of the women on this team kind of resembles I forget her name in the Great Lakes Avengers. Big something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Big
Bertha,
Big
isn't
Bertha.
it?
I think it's Big Bird.
Yeah. I don't know if she's a mutant, but she looks like she might be in the team.
Is.
And I mean, they kind of got like a replacement dupe, I guess, but it's just like a floating eyeball instead of a floating.
What? So there's no dupe in this book?
No, dupe is in it.
Oh, okay.
He's almost.
Woo, you almost lost Phil.
Yeah. Don't do that to me.
No, dupe is definitely in it.
My biggest selling point is this is an X book with
Yeah.
dupe in it.
Dead Girl is in it as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a Dead Girl fan.
Yeah.
And for you speculators out there is a first appearance. Yes.
Dun dun dun.
But the whole thing about it apparently is people constantly die on these teams.
Yes.
So don't get too attached.
There's a whole 4-issue miniseries of the Great Lake Avengers that is all about that.
Yeah.
See, they do need to tie them into the Great
Right.
Lake Avengers.
I
So
agree.
if you intend on reading this, I would try and hunt down some Ecstatics, Giant Size Ecstatics #1, and maybe some other of the All Red Milligan X-Force stuff.
To kind of refresh.
There is a nice omnibus of the Ecstatics run. I know that. I don't think they ever collected the X-Force run, though.
That's a shame.
Unless it was in like one of those volumes. Because I think it was the tail end of...
But you know, they definitely have like their own style and theme going on
Yeah.
with their run. So that is definitely something that, if it's not collected, it 100% should be.
And Matt, there's no X-Force Epic collections yet, are there?
There's volume 1 and 3.
Volume 1 and 3?
This would be the end
Yes.
way later.
Yes.
Cool.
Right.
Cool. Switching over to Boombox, we've got issue 3 of Buckhead. This is one that is Boombox is the teen imprint of Boom Studios, and it definitely feels like a kind of middle. It almost feels more middle grade to me than YA in the storytelling, but it's a really classic kids story because we've got a young boy who moves to a new town, and everybody there has like a Stepford Wives robot kind of vibe to them, and he has no idea what's going on, and he meets like the only kids who, like these kids who are not robotic and not in that trance, all come after him, and now he's in this group of people who are like going out there and trying to figure out why we've got these mystery people in suits coming after them and how to solve the problem. And of course, because it's 2022, solving the problem means playing a video game.
Of course.
That's the only way to solve your problems in 2022.
That is the only way I would believe I would ever have to save the world.
Is if you had to play a video game.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't come down to that, because every video game you've mentioned playing in the time that I've known you, you've been like, "Aw, man, I quit. That was boring."
Whoa, hold on, that's not true. I beat Turtles in Time that one time.
Oh, it's
Well,
true.
I had Matt's help.
That's an arcade. But like actual just like video games like on your like own, you always tell me you get bored and
But in this day and age, it would be more like playing Candy Crush on my phone would be
Yeah.
how I save the world.
right.
And I do it while no one, like, it doesn't, like, no one even knows. Like, I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie.
He's
And
actually
also
playing it right now. You
saving
just
the
can't
world.
see.
Right. They had a whole movie about this with Adam Sandler.
What? No, they didn't.
But they play arcade games.
Pixels?
Pixels, yeah.
What is Pixels?
Oh my god, you didn't
Yeah.
see Pixels? It's Adam Sandler and Peter Dinklage and a couple other people.
What?
Like, what am I showing the art for? We're not talking about.
Right,
We're
we're
still talking,
way off
this all
topic.
connects to the story of the thing.
Fine, Matt, I'll put the big
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Pixels was trashed to most people before it ever came out, so most people didn't see it. But it's Adam Sandler and his normal group of friends plus Peter Dinklage, and they have to save the world from video games coming to our reality. Like
It did have the real life creator of Pac-Man on it.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
It's ridiculous, but you should check it out. But if you want a book about saving the world through video games, you should read Buckhead, which will probably only be like 4 or 5 issues because most of the Boombox series are like 5 to 6 issues, and we feel like we're definitely getting to a wrap point with this story. Like they're going to enter the game and take the battle on. So we'll probably do like 5 issues if I had to guess.
And I have to say, even though every time I start reading this book, like the moment I pick it up, I'm like, I don't remember anything from the previous issue. Like, I feel like I'm so lost. They start talking, start throwing out people's names. And I'm like, wait, who and the what and the where?
I know nobody's name in this story.
No, most definitely not. Most definitely not. But at some point, I'm like, oh, okay, now I remember the gist of this book. And I have to say, it's paced really well.
Yes.
I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at issue 3, and if this does only go for 5 issues, it's going to wrap up really nice. I also liked kind of the backstory. They kind of tell you a little bit about the villain and why they're here, and I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, definitely a good kids comic.
Absolutely, and good for anybody who likes video games. But if you have a kid who likes video games, put this book in their hand. It's a great way to transition them from like the video game they're playing to a comic book. And if you just like video games and you're looking for something lighthearted that is an entertaining read, this is definitely going to be one of those.
Yeah, and it's still got the little hearts thing, which I think is cool.
Yeah, every issue is a new life heart, like a health heart in video games, which is cute.
What's it called?
Buckhead.
Audio listeners.
Buckhead. Next up, Dark Knights of Steel, issue 4 of 12 from Tom Taylor. Did you read 4?
I have not read it yet.
No?
You're reading this book?
I am on 2, so I'm not current.
This is Tom Taylor writing Game of Thrones in the DC universe. And every issue that I say that, and then I start the next issue, and I'm like, nope, that was definitely the best description. Issue 4 we actually get, because issue 1 kind of makes it seem like the L family like landed and like slaughtered everybody and just took over. This actually shows the background from when the L family lands to their rise to power. So we actually see that whole process in there. So this is kind of that episode that veers off a little bit into the storytelling of the past and then how it connects to the future. And it continues to be a great story. It's just, Tom Taylor just having fun. I think Tom Taylor doing Elseworld stories has just been his favorite thing to do. He seems very happy doing them, and continues to create some really great content out of them.
I mean, Tom Taylor's proven to be somebody that you kind of have to go to. There's so many ads in these.
Oh, DC has so many ads. So many ads. You could make the books.
Am I paying for a comic or a freaking advertisement? Jeez.
So many ads.
I do appreciate that they're doing this kind of Elseworlds. I wish they would slap the label on it so I know to look for it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think DC's kind of lost sight of all of their continuity right now, so they're like, everything is Elseworlds. Because nothing has a thing. For a while we were doing the DC Universe logo instead. Like we went from doing the Elseworlds on the weird stuff that like wasn't connected to doing DC Universe, so because everything else wasn't going to be connected. And then they were just like, you know what, fuck it. Yeah. Put whatever you want out wherever you want it, and there's just, have fun. Read comic books, play with it, do whatever you want.
If only. Oh my god.
What do you say?
It's like the guy on the front kind of looks like Nicolas Cage, but like aged.
Oh my gosh, Matt, that's a conversation we have to have off camera about the movie that never happened, the Superman movie that was going to star Nicolas Cage. Right. It was Tim Burton's Superman.
Yeah.
Written by Kevin Smith.
I mean, this sounds like your whole movie. This was made for. This would have been made for you.
I've seen
they made a documentary.
I've seen that still picture that they had from the dress rehearsal, I guess.
They have a documentary, but he was going to be long hair, 90s Superman.
That for yourself so bad right now.
Well, he already showed it on camera.
Yeah, but you didn't see the.
I saw this splash page.
No, you're spoiling yourself.
Oh,
it's okay.
I didn't know.
It's okay. If you're reading it, it's fine. If you're not, it's okay.
I did see that Daniel Warren Johnson is co-writing a Justice League book, but they're dinosaurs.
What?
Yeah,
Yes.
Jurassic
Yes.
League.
Yeah, Jurassic
I have
League.
had literally like
Had
five
like 1 million first appearances in that first
five
issue.
people this week alone have texted me and been like, "Hey, so about Jurassic League, can that be added to my sub list?" Like I'm like, I didn't know any of you people read DC, and they're like dinosaurs.
It doesn't matter.
Dinosaurs.
Daniel Warren Johnson and dinosaurs. That's it. That's all you
It's gonna
need.
be so great.
But he's not doing the art. I want to go ahead and put that out.
Yeah,
there
he's
now.
writing
He's
it.
just
We can only
co-writing
do so
it.
many things at once.
all of the things.
I know, but that's like the ideal book for him to draw.
It's so true.
We got
Could you
Beta
know-
Ray
but
Bill
then,
and Wonder Woman Dead Earth.
if he,
so.
I was gonna say, and that's the thing. If he was doing it at the
Dinosaur
art, I would want it to
Justice
be the
League.
big premium format
Mm.
Black Label.
Mm.
So if he's not getting
DC.
premium format Black Label, then fine, doesn't need to do the art. But if you want to really sell some books, DC, give him the art too and put it on the prestige format, I guess is what they call theirs.
Or at least let him do the covers.
yes.
I'm sure he will have like
No
at least a
problem.
variant.
Yeah,
Please.
probably like the 1 in 25.
Claim.
Fair
I want
enough.
I
Fair
want it.
enough. Next up from Image is New Masters, which is done, you pointed this out, I didn't even notice, by the same writer that does Buckhead.
Yes, Shobo is the name of the artist. Dang, I read this book and I didn't take notes on it. That's
Well, so we all kind of, this was a very confusing book.
Yeah, there's a few storylines that kind of
Yeah,
run around.
I'm not really sure where this book is going, or what it's about.
Well, the gist of it is it takes place on a alternate reality set in Africa, strictly, where aliens visited in the past and crash landed, and they're trying to mine certain resources. I can't remember what the mineral is.
It's obsidian, which I was really excited about because I have a love for obsidian.
Well, it wasn't obsidian. It was something similar to.
Oh, it was.
It was
It was?
obsidian.
Okay.
Mhm.
But it was like
pure
it looked like
obsidian.
it was a liquid, almost.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that was the art. Though.
Obsidian is also an igneous rock, so you could, in fact, possibly get it to be in a liquid form if you needed to,
Obsidium.
because it's already made from obsidian. It's made from volcanic material. So
Right. And they all talk in a accent that is spelled out in like the words, and it kind of makes the dialogue kind of difficult to
Yeah.
read. So and there's two different storylines going on.
the two different storylines was, I think, and because
That's what I didn't notice.
Mhm.
it was hard to figure out because I think one of them is supposed to be the future and one of them is supposed to be that past that you're talking
Right.
about, but you don't really get a clear cut of those dividing lines, and that's kind of where it's like I don't know
Right.
where we're going with the story
One-
because I don't know
right.
which timeline is which.
One seems post-apocalyptic, and then the other one seems like it's still set in the future, but
Mhm.
it's mostly politically based. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I love. I was very into that storyline and where that was going. Because the fact that they're like mining the resources and like trying to manipulate like who's gonna get them and what's gonna happen with them, and that relationship between kind of like the smuggler and the politician,
mhm.
and where they're gonna go. Like I'm really intrigued in the relationships between those characters, and I'm intrigued on how the two stories connect and why we're telling both of those stories.
Right.
Like, is this a descendant of this person that's still in there? I think this is one that I need to see an issue 2 to see if they kind of flesh out what they're doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the concept is good. And, like, I'm curious about where they go with it. But I didn't really, like, when I read it, I was like, I don't really know what all I just read and where I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
where this is going. Like, I don't know what is happening.
Right. They're also trying it almost like they're setting up a heist type movie or scene with this eye that's got a digital data core library that was recovered from whenever the aliens first crash landed a long time ago.
I think that the character designs are really cool. Wow, that was
agree.
really hard to get
I
out.
agree.
I think the character designs for this book are really cool, and that's why I'm really interested at like who are these people and where did they come from and what is their relationship with each other, because we've got some really interesting character designs, and is it like, did the aliens and the humans like connect? Are the aliens another race that's here mixed into it? There's a lot there that wasn't explained in issue 1, and that's why I think in issue 2 will be a really important turning point for this book.
I guess if I had to like compare it to something pop culture, maybe Blade Runner mixed with Blood Diamond.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. So really good, and Blood Diamond is an excellently made movie. So, but New Masters, I'm curious to see. That's issue 1. It does leave you a little confused, so maybe like pick it up and check it out, but plan for reading issue 2. Like, I think if you read issue 1 and you were like, I don't really know about this, it's definitely going to be like a 3-issue.
It's all set up in this book.
It's all set up.
Right. So issue 2 will be like I need to read.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
For me, it's one of those that I didn't even finish the first issue and immediately thought I'm gonna trade weight this because I really like the potential for world building with this, very much in the sense of like Blade Runner or like a Dune, where it's like I want to see these 2 stories, but I also really want you to expand outwards because there's so, like, especially with the art style too, it's
beautiful.
Really great to look at. So this is definitely one I'm going to wait for, because I also was just like, what? I'm so confused. And I didn't even know there was 2 stories going along. I thought I was reading.
Actually, there might be 3.
There's no dividing points on the stories. No like, it's not like then, now, this, that. Like, you know what it really reminds me of? And I don't know if you ever read any of it, but it reminds me of Tartarus.
I did. I read the first volume. And glad I read that in trade, because I was like,
exactly. When you said a trade waiting thing, I was like, this New Masters felt a lot like Tartarus to me, where it was like, there's so much, the world's so big, we've got multiple storylines going at the same time. Yes. And I have no idea what I'm reading. Every issue I had to read the previous issues before that. And I feel like New Masters is kind of in that point where I'm like, I might need to read, like, when issue 2 comes out, I'll probably reread issue 1 and look at that, because that's how Tartarus was. It was definitely one of those where I was like, there's so much happened in that last issue, and I have no idea what it was. So let me go back and reread that. And then when you do that, you're like, oh, this connects perfectly. Yeah. But if you don't, like, the times when I pick up the next issue, I'm like, what the crap am I reading right now?
And I'm very grateful for, because I remember I got Tartarus the first volume because you showed it off here, and I saw the artwork, and I was like, oh, that looks fantastic. And I remember I finished volume 1, and I was like, okay, that was tough for me to get through, but I want volume 2 the moment it comes out. And I feel like that's going to be the same with this, where someone's going to maybe see the volume, the trade, and be like, oh, I have to read this.
And I thought it was, I should have just put them back to back, because we just talked about Buckhead, and we talked about with Shobo's writing that we do have that, like, I don't really remember who the characters are and what's happening until you get into that next issue. And with Buckhead, it's a kid's book, so it's easier to pick back up and go, oh, okay, because there's only the one plot.
Right.
But with New Masters, there's those multiple storytelling levels and everything, so it is going to be, like, don't try to read it in a stack of comics. This is one, like, if you, like, are gonna read it, like, sit down, read it, kind of, like, soak it all in and think about it, because
read it a second time.
Yeah, it's got good art, it's gonna be a good story, it's a massive world, but it's definitely one of those that you need to kind of soak it all in slowly if you want to keep up with what's going on. And definitely give it a 3-issue rule, because you're gonna need to build the world. Hell Cop, issue 4.
Yes, this wonderful book that confuses me every single time an issue comes out. It is an Image title.
It is an Image title.
And I actually thought it's on the Shadowline series, but I remember there being a variant for the first issue with Spawn on it.
Yes.
And so I thought it was a Spawn tie-in.
And it is not.
And it is not.
That way you didn't.
However,
that is why I was very much like, I don't think I care, because I think Spawn's going to show up at some point.
However,
Terrifies me.
Hell Cop actually originated 22 years ago and just came back.
Wait, what?
Yeah, guys, this book is amazing.
So this is like a continuation of an older series?
It is. Hellcop was originated back 22 years ago for Image, and it now, like, they just kind of brought the story back, and I know nothing about what happened 22 years ago. I just learned, I was years old when I learned that Hellcop existed before now.
Was the title Hellcop?
So, guy, that's all I know.
Okay.
I have not done the research for further information, but yeah, that's what the internet's for.
Yeah, I'm definitely. Well, it seems like that's what that book is for.
As you, it's the best.
Yeah, this is one of those books where I look at the art and I'm like, what is? Anyway, this is a world where we have figured out how to open portals. Huh?
I didn't mean to.
Oh, that's fine. I keep touching Nigel's knee over here. So this is a universe where we can open portals to other dimensions, and it turns out that hell is one of those dimensions.
Yes.
And like any other place, we decide to put some of our own rules and laws over it. We're trying to monetize it, prioritize it.
This became a giant commentary on American imperialism in issue 4.
Yes,
like,
very
giant commentary on it.
Yeah, and the title in the 90s was Hellcop.
It was Hellcop.
Yes, on
all right.
Image. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
How many issues? I need these.
I'm not there.
Because
keep talking while he reads.
Because the thing is as I keep reading this book, I'm like, you keep opening up this world, and I want so much more. Like, there's been, and I'm not going to reveal who it is, but like you kind of find out that there's this globe, this little glowing ball that's been following him, and you're like, what is this? And that's revealed.
Yeah, I didn't know this book was going to be emotional.
No.
But it is. And I kind of felt like you were saying, you saw the Spawn cover, and it's true. Like, I ordered the first issue and for the store, and it was, like, the incentive variant is a Spawn homage.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, of course, came running in for the Spawn homage. It was like a fight, bless you, for the Spawn homage. And then, like, issue 2 or 3 had the Playboy homage cover.
Yeah, stop there.
And I was like,
spoilers.
I was like, I don't know if this book's for me. And I didn't read issue 1, and we didn't end up having a live stream after issue 1. Like, it was like bad weather or something like that, and we didn't end up doing it. And I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, I didn't read that. And then I think issue 2 or 3 came out, and I think it might have been issue 2. And I was like, well, maybe I should read this because I need to sell those issue 1s, and issue 2 is out, and I need to know what this is if I'm going to keep ordering it. And I read it, and I was like, oh, this isn't what I thought at all. Like, this is obviously, and now knowing that it came out in the 90s, because every time I see it, I'm like, the covers are so 90s, like, comics, that I think that it's not going to be something that interests me. And the story is so 2020 that I'm like, oh, I am totally intrigued by the level of emotion and the deep world building and the character-driven elements of the story. I love these secondary characters that we see. The doctor, scientist friend that we have that's constantly in her, that's running the portals in the background. Like, I love her. I love that you found it.
Yeah,
was it Joe Casey?
It was a 4-issue miniseries in 1998.
Cover.
Yes.
It's
1998?
Yeah.
God.
Awesome. I love that you just put that right in your face, Phil.
Will that show up on the camera?
I needed him to.
There we go.
There you go.
I needed that because I'm about to go and try and find these.
Right.
They're not on that website that you were just on.
No.
Phil's literally
My
going to
comic
spend the
shop?
rest
Nope.
of the live stream hunting for Hellcop from the 90s.
No, I won't.
The title definitely looks 90s.
And,
for sure.
I mean, even the trade dress now, the modernized trade dress, you can hold it back up. The modernized trade dress still looks pretty 90s.
Very much. Yes.
And so every time I see the book, I'm like, I don't need to read an Image 90s title. Like, I don't. And then I read it and I'm like, oh no, this is emotionally character driven, and I enjoy this book so much. And I think I even told you, I was like, is Hellcop one of your picks of the week, Phil? Because this book was really good for this issue. Really got you in a lot of different emotional spots. So
yeah, it definitely comes close because it is that book that every time I see it on the list of books to read, I'm like, oh yes, more Hellcop.
Yeah.
Because it just keeps getting better and better.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't checked it out, now's the time. Like, jump in.
Yes.
Issue 6 of Nine Stones is back from Behemoth. this is another one of those that sometimes it makes it into Picks of the Weeks and sometimes it doesn't. It honestly didn't make it into Picks of the Weeks only because it gets really, like, graphic in the torture this week. Nine Stones is the story of two boys, and one of the boys, his dad is the leader of, like, the crime family. He's, like, a drug runner, and the boy whose dad is the crime boss, he gets paired with another teenage boy, and they're supposed to sell drugs, and they end up, like, instead of doing their drug runs, they end up falling in love, and it's this beautiful story until the last issue where they got caught for being in love, and the dad thinks that it's an embarrassment to his family that in the crime world that he has a gay son. So he's now sent his executioner / torturer to torture and execute the son and the boy. The boy.
Casey Jones.
And so we've been in this moment of, like, the son trying to save, like, the one boy trying to save the other. And we see a lot more of that torture happen in this issue 6. And I was like, it got a lot. Like, I almost felt like I was watching a Saw book in how bad or Saw movie and how bad some of, like, the torture scenes felt. But he's also being forced to relive this. So we know now, like, this has already happened and he's being forced to relive it. And the Nine Stones is some form of therapy that he's going through that's helping him get to each point, and we don't know any more than that. It's, like, kind of in turn with, like, the idea of, like, stones being, like, distance, and, like, you have to go each, like distance of, like, okay, like, you've traveled through, like, this one stone and you relive, like, this moment,
steps, like, kind of, like recovering addicts. Kind
of something almost similar to that. But he's literally, like, picking, okay, you've made it to this stone, and you made it to this stone. And it's every issue of this has been emotional in some way. Like, some it's like, oh my gosh, it was a beautiful, like, relationship build. Oh, like, it's so sad, like, they can't be together. Like, oh, it's so great that they can. Oh, it's this. But now we're just, like, literally, it only didn't make it this time because, like, it got, like, a little overwhelming with how graphic the violence got for me. But at the same time, like, I imagine issue 7 or 8 will be the end of this. 7 would be a weird number to end it on, so I doubt it will be 7. But honestly, like, the next issue could be the last issue if it needed to be. But I don't know how they're going to wrap it up, but we're kind of, like, at the point where he's coming to terms with a lot of the stuff that happened. This book blindsided me. Like, when we read issue 1, we were both like, it's kind of like a manga, like, anime feel. Like, I don't really know. Like, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm not really into, like, that anime style storytelling. And then every month that a new issue comes out, I'm like, so this is why I love Nine Stones. And it's one of the ones I read first. Every time, which is another reason why I am always saying, like, Behemoth is definitely on the rise. But this issue it's a little bit of a graphic, like, issue for that violence, but it's still great storytelling, and I can't wait to see how this book ends.
Is Behemoth right?
Yeah, it's Behemoth, which is a Dallas-based publisher.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Dallas or Fort Worth, one of those.
I think we said Dallas.
Yeah.
We looked up Dallas.
It's in all of their books. It tells you where they're located, but
well,
yeah.
Just opened up then.
Yeah, I was like, so you can just open it and find out. It's usually at the front of the book.
Was it this one?
Yeah.
You're still trying to find your books?
No.
Well, we found one.
Okay.
There's one over here.
There's one here.
But it's,
what?
We'll talk about it.
Well, yeah, we'll show you. We have one. We have that book in the store.
Okay.
Okay. While Nigel's looking at that, I will show you Aftershock is back with a one-shot for Dark Red. Dark Red was a free comic book day title from Aftershock a couple years ago, and I never actually got to read the series. I think it was like a free comic book day title when we didn't actually have a store, like when we were still doing delivery. Mm-hmm. And so I grabbed a free comic book day title for it, but I never saw the series come out. And so this one-shot, you kind of don't need to have read the series because it is a one-shot, so they give you a little bit of everything, so it's kind of puts you in ideal of it. But this is a Dark Red's about a guy who's a vampire, and he lives in rural America and works in a gas station. And, things are crazy for him. And not so much all at the same time, but in this particular one shot, a friend of his from World War II is passing away. And so he goes to the hospital to see the friend, before he dies, and ends up having to travel to hell to kind of help his friend make it to the other side.
Fun.
So one shot, it's complete one shock. You don't need to, Aftershock calls them one shocks, but complete one and done kind of story. You don't have to have read Dark Red, but it gives you enough of the world in case you wanted to dive into it. So, good story.
Good art.
Yeah.
I like that the guy's name is Rural Vampire Chip. Well, his name's Chip, but
his name is Chip, but they call him Rural Vampire. Yeah.
Rural Vampire. That is the selling point for me.
Yeah.
And
blue collar vampire.
Honestly, he's literally like the gas station employee in rural America.
Those are the vampire stories I want.
Yeah, and the free comic book day issue, I was like, I can't tell where what we're going for with this character, cool. But I would love to read the series because there was a lot of things that I was like, I'm on the fence about this character, and then there was a lot of things that I was like, okay, all right, so we'll see. So I kind of am curious after reading this whole one shot, I'm kind of curious to go back even more and read some of that series.
So would you say this is like Andy Griffith with vampires?
No.
Oh, Clerks with vampires?
I don't know, because this isn't connected to he's not working in the gas station at all at this point. He's down on a trip saving his friend. So I don't know if the other one counts.
Want a little bit? There's not the whole.
Finish that bottle and just open the other one.
All right, sounds good. I can do that.
Yeah. You're good. You do that. And then last new comic this week before we get into picks of the week is Service Industry by T. Edward Bark, I believe. Might be Bach. T. Edward Bach. This is an original graphic novel from a guy who works as a dishwasher in a restaurant. And it's one of those slice of life, this is my story, this is, a memoir, autobiographical story of this person. And he talks about, not so much focusing on the service industry, but as much as just his life in general. He kind of goes back to the beginning of his life, has those moments where he's imagining what if I was in a fantasy world, but also has those moments where he imagines how he would kill himself because his job sucks and he hates it. And even there's one scene which I really thought was a great moment because he has the girl, he's like, oh, the girl from the cute coffee shop down the street is here. And he goes, and he's actually waiting the tables that day instead of dishwashing. He goes out to her table and he takes her order and he's helping her and he's so excited that the girl from the coffee shop down the street is there. And then he comes up to her and he's like, hey, can I take your plates? And she doesn't even look up and she just waves him away. And he's like, this is what I love about this industry, the respect that we get from all of our fellow colleagues, and just walks off. And I was like, that's exactly how it feels in those moments a lot of times. And Phil, you can obviously attest to this, I'm sure as well, but you're like, oh good, at least these people understand what I'm going through. And then they still also treat you like you don't matter as the person helping them. And it's oh, never mind. Okay.
You just learn that it's ingrained in a lot of people's brains that's how they think they should operate.
Yeah.
At places with customer service. I didn't read this book because I live it every day of my life.
Yeah. And honestly, you didn't. That was when I got the book in. I was like, oh, I ordered this because I figured Phil would identify with this story.
Fiction has become reality.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
it's too close to home.
Especially because his way into his fantasy world is with his cat.
Yep, there you go.
And I was like, oh, this is literally just Phil's life.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I should buy Phil a cookie.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know what my life is like when I'm not here doing the live stream every Sunday,
you
come
should
pick
read
this up.
Service Industry.
It's only spot color?
It is. Some of the pages are entirely black and white, and some of the pages are entirely in color.
Matt, were you not just paying attention to the stuff I was showing?
You showed two things of color, and I was like, was that the whole book?
No, some pages are fully black and white. And some pages are overly textual, and some are
And
light
your first
on
one was
text.
like full black and white. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, is it a black and
Ooh,
white comic?
here.
Also, I was trying to give you a little bit of.
Whoa.
Good job, Joe.
I'll just let Nigel hold up the comic.
I can't see him as well from this side.
Right.
Okay, so before we go to the picks of the week, I guess I should tell you what wine we just switched to.
Mm.
Now I'm drinking Castle Rock Winery. I like how I say I'm drinking because nobody else is there.
Right.
Castle Rock Winery. It's also Cab Sav, but it's from the Columbia Valley.
I'll get there.
I don't know anything about it. Nigel bought it, so
I did. This is from the fine people at HEB. And I know to buy a Cab Sav because that is what these fine shop owners have ingrained in me, is to buy a Cab Sav because it's always good. And you know what? They've done right by it. It's good.
we learned that from Megan Hutchison Cates. So
That's true. That is right. Yeah.
so she told us that was always a safe bet. So it turns out that that's true.
You get concentrated flavors of cassis, blackberry,
Love Cassis.
black cherry, ripe plum, with a hint of light oak. And its finish is smooth and harmonious.
And it also says it goes well with beef and
Lamb and game dishes and a variety of cheeses.
Many people say that this wine
is
has an
perfect for y'all.
oaky taste. Who's eaten oak here?
probably Matt.
You've eaten
No.
oak?
No, but I can honestly say as a child I've licked multiple trees. Without a
You're
doubt.
gay.
You're like, I wonder what this tastes
Are
like.
you like Mary Catherine Gallagher making out with the trees in the background?
Superstar?
It's like, well, nope, no sap on this one.
Yeah.
No syrup here.
Castle Rock. Approved by tree maker outers everywhere.
I'll let you know once I get to it.
All
I'll
right.
be like, this tastes like oak.
This is my nose.
Oh, is that what they mean by its nosy flavor?
Yeah.
Did it say nosy?
No.
No.
But that's a like wine term.
I was like, that's such a weird wine term
the
to
nose.
use.
Yeah,
Nosy.
This one's very nosy.
yeah, it's like a wine thing.
I'm gonna
They
go to a
like
wine
this.
tasting and say that.
Oh my god.
This is
When
like wasabi.
when-
It's very nosy.
Stop it.
when Matt and I went on the one wine tasting experience that we've had when we were on that trip and we just went to different wineries, I didn't know what to say because I only know like what people do in movies, and we're over there and we're like, it's our, other than the live stream, we've never had wine places, and so we're at these places and they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, it tastes like wine.
Yeah.
I can smell
Grapes.
wine. Yeah.
You could taste strawberry probably, and you're like, guess so.
Right, we're like, we're so bad at this. Like, please don't ask us questions. We're just here to drink your wine.
This one's heavier than that one.
Yeah, I was like, this one
Yeah.
tastes more like wine.
This
than
one's
that.
sweet. This
Yeah.
one's bitter.
Yeah.
I
That's
would
it.
I would
It's
really
so
like
silky.
to maybe we can fit it into the production budget, but if we could have someone come on and talk about the wine and then pour it and tell us what to do, like how
We
to
should
drink
probably
it.
get Trace to come on and do that one time. Yeah, we'll ask Trace. You guys have all met Trace. He
Yeah.
used to run
Yeah,
the
wonderful
Austin
guy.
Shaker.
Right.
And so he knows a lot about all the wines and
Rachel.
stuff. So we'll have to
Finish that.
we'll
there
have
he
to get
goes.
Trace, who is definitely probably not watching. But Trace,
Yeah.
if you're watching, we'll want you to come on and teach us about wine.
Trace,
Someday.
help us refine our palates, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, is
we
there-
We actually, the last wine that we have left
That's
in
too
the
much,
back
that's way
is
too
from
much.
Trace. So we'll have to have Trace on specifically next show so we can have him tell us about
Please.
that wine. All right. So until then, we'll talk about our picks of the week. Nigel, you said you were going to make my picks of the week sound effect.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Long.
Prize. No. Sorry.
All right. So this first one was actually Nigel's pick
It
of the week, or
Was
one of them.
One of them. Yeah, we got Monkey Prince. This is his origin story, of sorts. And I didn't read the DC Festival of Superheroes or Asian Superheroes. And after reading this, I wish I had.
I have copies if you need one.
I do. And I didn't even know that Monkey Prince was like a thing before this character.
Yeah, so the Monkey King
Monkey
is
King.
an ancient Chinese like legend. It's one of their folk tales and fairy tales of their like superheroes and
Yeah.
legends and things. And this is supposed to be the son of the Monkey King.
Yeah. And so you're kind of like showing this boy who's trying to get over his fears that were ingrained in him because of Batman. Batman scared him into having severe issues in high school that he was bullied for.
Yeah, he has a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this guy who comes up. He's like, we're going to help you unlock your true potential. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm getting pretty spoilery right now.
Yeah,
but...
it's like the kind of where you can stop.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you find out.
Oh, are you not done? Sorry. Oh.
This is a comedy.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah,
Yes.
and if you've never experienced the Monkey King is a comedy. He's a very comical character. He's always he is a trickster god, essentially, and he's always doing he's like the way that the Monkey Prince is always laughing. That's a Monkey King thing, from the legends. He's known for just playing pranks on people and making making people laugh. Or laughing at people, I guess I should say. They're not usually laughing at the Monkey King's pranks. And so this is a really great story to kind of bring that into modern times, but also to bring it into a superhero world. I thought was a really great way to do that.
Right.
And one of the things I've been talking about with a lot of customers in regards to this is we've brought in a lot of classic Anglo folklore into comic books over the course of time, and we see that a lot, but we never bring in the whole world of massive, every culture has their heroes and their stories, and I have been I hope this leads to more of that, because there's so many characters that we have not heard of, or we haven't experienced, or we've done an injustice to. And now we're at this point where it's hey, let's let people who actually understand the culture and are from that culture tell these stories. This is Jean Louis Yang.
Yeah.
Who can write whatever he wants to, and I'm going to buy it.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, but this was very well written.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
And if you don't know, Jean won all of the Eisners last year for two books, one of which was Superman Smashes the Klan.
He did that.
Yeah. Same creator that did that. Fantastic creator. American Born Chinese is his most known book. It is also a banned book, if we're going to go back into that. It's one of those that constantly has been removed from shelves, which does not need to.
I was not cheersing to the idea of banning books, but to
the idea that you wrote something so incredible that people are afraid of it. Jean is a great storyteller and is constantly bringing the AAPI culture to the forefront, and specifically the Chinese culture to the forefront of the storytelling in mainstream comics. And that's something I want to see more of, is mainstream comics adapting other cultures throughout time. I know I brought this up when we first started talking about Monkey Prince, was that I'm waiting for the moment where Destan from the Prince of Persia gets put into comics and we do a good job, because we all know that the Jake Gyllenhaal thing was awful. It was a bad adaptation of a video game, which was a bad adaptation of one of the best stories in literature. I had
a good time with the movie.
Oh yeah. Sure, the movie was great. It's just, for fun, but also not a good adaptation of a great Persian legend. And Persian mythology is one of my favorite mythologies throughout time. And so I want to see more, Shahrazad and her tales that she did that, Aladdin comes from. I'd love to see those get adapted into more storytelling through comic books, because there's 10,000 tales. It's not just Aladdin. There's so many more stories I'd love to see more of the Arabian Nights stories get told into the comic books, and there's so many cultures that we don't talk about the stories that they have. And if Monkey Prince is even just a gateway into getting more cultural stories into comic books, that alone would make it a pick of the week for me. But also it was just a fun.
It was fun,
awesome ride, and I already see this as a great cartoon. They can easily adapt this into a great cartoon, and I would be 100% here for it.
Was it Shifu Pigsy or whatever his name is, the janitor with the bird cloud?
The bird cloud. Oh my god! Like, I was like, kids everywhere will love this bird
Right.
cloud.
I'm definitely getting like maybe like Last Airbender vibes a little bit with kind of how the story is and the main character a little bit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a ton of fun.
It's gonna be fun, and it's 12 issues, I think. Does it say it's limited?
It does not say on the
Okay.
cover.
I believe it's 12 though.
Yeah.
And it's, also if you're a fan of like Gotham, it's tied into that. The Penguin's in it.
Yeah.
Batman's in it.
And it's an entirely AAPI team.
Correct. Yes.
And all of the variant covers, I believe, are also going to be done. So, like, the first one had a cover the variant cover was done by Artgerm, which is a gorgeous variant. I should have brought the variant. It's beautiful. We have it on the front wall. And then there was actually, like, the 1 in 25? No. The 1 in 50.
And you're trying to say this name? And I can't.
I was at Artgerm? Stanley Artgerm Lau?
Well, underneath that. The 1 in 25.
Oh, yeah. No, I was thinking of there's a 1 in 100, I think it is. There's a special foil variant that was actually done by Jenny Frizen, I think.
Oh.
And it's a Chinese New Year's, like, red foil celebration cover. And I think somebody told me it was Jenny Frizen. But it's like a super incentive. But it's a beautiful cover. And I'm very excited. This book is going to be a lot of fun. And Ram, I saw that you wanted one, so we'll definitely throw. I might have actually I think I already threw one in your box, Ram, because I assumed you would want it. So I think you already have one, but I will double check that I did if I didn't.
Good choice. Ram.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
I need to see that.
Great story. Speaking of cultural stories and bringing more voices into comic books, this is Primos, which is from AWA Upshot. And this is issue 1 of 4, which I imagine is going to have to be of a volume 1.
Sure.
And it's a massive world that unfolds in issue 1.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. We've got a new superhero who is partnered with his Primos, his cousins. That he doesn't really know, who also have superpowers, and I need to know them.
Right. We don't learn as much as we need to about them in this issue at all.
No, but it goes all the way back to like ancient civilizations. We figure it out, but we know at least we have a sorcerer.
Right. A Mayan sorcerer.
Yes, and I want to know what these other the cousins' powers are, because it's gonna be.
And I'm interested in who the villains are who are chasing down everybody and attacking people, because they all look the same, but we don't know anything about them other than that they're big and they dress the same.
Yes.
And they don't wear enough clothes.
The thing that I really liked, especially you get it right off the bat, is a lot of the pop culture references. That's how the main character kind of explains away like some of the plot. Like the female character in their little team, he refers to as like a Gal Gadot-esque character,
right? Which
which I think is really cool. But yeah, I was really shocked. I always say AWA, I'm always kind of on the fence about, just because I've had PTSD from that like early art that they were doing. The art style was just, it wasn't anything that I was into, and so I'm very nervous every time I pick up AWA. But this book is super cool.
Yeah.
And this is a new team for AWA. They haven't had Al Magical and Carlo Barberi before. Carlo Barberi, I believe, lives in Mexico still. As an art, but we've never seen this team at AWA, so it is a new team for them.
Great team too.
And yeah, it's a great team to do it. And now you mentioned the pop culture references. I've actually had I've had the conversation with a couple people who have read this book already, and some of them said that they felt like the references were too dated for, like, now it's gonna, it's gonna put it makes the book not evergreen. And evergreen is the marketing term for, something that's like always good forever.
Sure.
And for a book, for having so few Latinx books on the shelf, a lot of the ones, the two that got the biggest push this year were Primos and Phenom X. And both of them have very, like, this is when this book came out kind of things. And so I did hear from some of the readers who read it this week that were like, my only qualm was that like the references are like specific, and they're kind of, some of them are kind of dated, some of them are right on for the time right now, but then in a week that's going to be dated. And so I was like, I totally get that, because you don't have a lot of evergreen stories that feature Latinx superheroes. So putting them in a time frame that's specific, I can see how.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much a story for now. But I mean, when I go back and I read older comics and Stan Lee references some old actor that I've never heard of, I just assume it was funny at the time.
Yeah,
That's fair.
and I could see that happening, but I also think this is a book where the stories is good enough, like where I really liked the whole Mayans going to another planet and kind of like this giant multiverse kind of setup of all these planets have to come together in unity. So I do really like a lot of the backstory and everything that they're building here. So.
And this one, what I liked about it, one of the things I like about it is, like you said, like there is a lot of backstory. And we talked about like Aftershock does like an information dump in issue 1. AWA hasn't really done a lot of information dumps in issue 1s, which I think is another reason that you might be like, oh, it's not necessarily my favorite like storytelling publisher or art publisher, because you do not necessarily get those full on information dumps. But this one gave you your full backstory for this character, how he got his powers, where he's going, what he needs to defeat, and relationship between him and other characters already being developed. And so you do get a lot of that already in issue 1. I think this is going to be a really, it can go in either way. I'm curious to see if we're going to just spend each of the issues in volume 1 kind of talking about what the other people's powers are, or if we're just going to jump into the story now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see them developing that along with like the whole idea of like, why did these Mayans come back? And because they come back, I don't know if I'm spoiling it too much.
Don't go too far.
Gosh.
Read it.
I'm not good at it.
Read
Yeah,
Primos.
I think it's
It's a very good first step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also like the Avenged Sevenfold Skyliner reference.
Of course you did.
Right. Also, see, dated.
Which
Right,
is
that's
weird
dated
because
now.
That's like, like that's already something that's very
Yeah. And I was talking about that with somebody earlier today, in that we were talking about one of our customers. He's a stand-up comedian, and we were talking about how when you're writing content to share with an audience, that you have to be mindful of how old you are. He said that, for him, like his dad was talking about doing a Zoom call with all of his younger employees, and he referenced Popeye. And they were like, he got off the call and somebody, called him and was like, hey, just so you know, that was a really great analogy, but I think we're only 3 of us got that on the call. And he said that, like, as a stand-up comedian, he's constantly like, I'm going to tell, like, he has a bit that he does about Richard Gere, and he has to poll the audience first to see if any of them know who Richard Gere is before he does his bit. And I said, when I go to talk, I literally, on all of my notes for when I talk to the different age groups, have crossed out things that when I talk to, 3rd graders, they don't get this reference. And
No Richard Gere.
No, for sure.
Okay.
But even, like, my original version of the comic workshop referenced the brothers from Supernatural. And I can't talk about that with the younger kids anymore because Supernatural's been off the air. So, like, it's been off the air for a couple years, so they don't know. Like, middle schoolers don't care about Supernatural. High schoolers, you're going to get a couple of them who might know. But for the most part, like, that's a reference that's dated at this point. And so it is kind of hard when you do, Rick Riordan is known for that. He hits every, like Thor's watching the CW Arrow on his hammer in the first of the Magnus Chase books. And it's like, how long will kids know what CW's Arrow was?
It's
oh, man.
And it's
long. Stephen Amell is eternal.
I do love Stephen Amell.
I do too.
But yeah, it's one of those things, like when you do those references, you do have to wonder, like, Avenged Sevenfold guyliner reference is funny to you.
Yeah.
But if I hand this book to a teenager and I'm like, oh, you should totally check this out because are they gonna get that?
Right now,
That
I gotta
joke
look up
is gonna
Avenged
go.
Yeah,
Sevenfold.
but then the best thing is then I get to give this kid the history of Avenged Sevenfold. Like, it's like, all right, put these headphones on. We're going to start with the first record. We may get to Backcountry today. But I think that's going to be tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, you know, I definitely struggle with that every day at work because I'm a decade older than everyone else. And so I'm sitting there with a notepad and like, okay, I can't. There was a day when I made a comment from a Adam Sandler movie. And they were like, who's Adam Sandler? I was like, oh no, this is not good.
I used to work in fashion retail, and there was one point where we got in, and this was 2009, and I got in like this leopard print like pantsuit. It was like a jumpsuit. I went and put the jumpsuit on, and I came out of the dressing room, and I went, Steven Tyler PJs, and my employee was like, what are you talking about? Who's Steven Tyler?
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, he's from Aerosmith, but that's a joke from Son-in-Law. And she was like, what? And I was like, you know the Pauly Shore movie? And she goes, who's Pauly Shore? And I was like, that's it, I quit.
You know what's terrible is that eventually Pauly Shore is going to be forgotten, and that's such a shame.
Last year, Pauly Shore said he wanted to come to Austin to do a show, and he was like, hit me up, like, to my buddies in Austin if anybody will let me stay. And Matt and I were like, there's a couch in the store. What if we let Pauly Shore crash on the couch at Bat City? And I was like, I just kind of want to message him and be like, dude, there's a couch at Bat City if you want to sleep on it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Pauly Shore would have just been sleeping on the couch?
Pauly Shore, please come sleep on the couch here at Bat City.
Yeah.
And the thing is just be prepared because I'm going to want to watch all your movies and reenact some of
It'd be
the
like,
scenes.
hey, do you remember that scene in the Army now when you were in the tank?
All right, so last week we asked what your favorite Nick Cage movie is. So now, what is your favorite Pauly Shore movie?
All I Want.
You can't say in the Army now because I just said it.
You can if it's your favorite.
It is
Okay,
mine.
well, it's not his.
Of course, the
it's
guy in
not
the
his
military
best.
picks in the Army.
It's not his best. And my personal favorite, and the one that he and I would have to reenact in its entirety, because I want to reprise Stephen Baldwin's role, Biodome.
No, this was so... I could have called this. Like, I didn't need y'all to tell me what your favorite movies were from Pauly Shore. And honestly, mine's probably Son-in-Law. Even when we got married,
Great movie.
Matt and I were in, the middle of Illinois, and we're driving through the cornfield area of Illinois, and I'm going, Middle America, like the whole time, and I'm like, this is why we're here. I love it, and I think Son-in-Law might be, or Jury Duty, because I'm a huge Jeopardy fan.
Never seen
Jury Duty.
What?
So good.
Oh my god, this is a
So
thing
good.
that we have to do.
Favorite Pauly Shore movie?
All of them.
Pauly Shore's dead.
Probably Pauly Shore's
Oh,
dead.
what about a Goofy movie? Even though he's very briefly
All
in
right,
it?
Leaning Tower of Cheese.
No, it's Son-in-Law before it's Goofy.
And
That's
Encino
fair.
Man. I mean, we can't forget
Encino
Encino Man,
Man.
which celebrated its anniversary last year, I believe, was like the 30th or something.
You know,
Encino Man,
they had a different name for Encino Man overseas. Oh, in Europe, they called it California Man because no one knew what Encino was.
That's
fair.
funny.
That's
Wait.
totally fair.
You're gonna say
Those are the four. In the Army now, Son-in-Law,
Jury Duty
Jury
and Biodome.
Biodome,
That was the
and Encino
time.
Man.
And Encino Man. That was the
Those are
time.
like the five.
Yeah. Man.
What a career. What a career.
Well, at least we know Matt agrees on this one. So
He
Yeah,
did have a
Pauly Shore, man.
Netflix exclusive.
Okay, time out. You can do Pauly Shore, but not Nick Cage?
I knew this was coming.
He's over dramatic.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be
Fuck
ridiculous.
off.
Well, both are supposed to be ridiculous in some cases.
So speaking of things that are supposed to be ridiculous, here's Phil's pick of one of Phil's picks of the week.
Yes, how do you say this?
Bonnier.
Bonnier.
Bonnier?
I think it's French.
The
Bonnier.
Aromatic. This is a updated, kind of weird... Well, I think Tank Girl was...
Tank
Yeah,
Girl is
that's
very
how it
was,
similar.
is really
Yeah.
weird. So this is like a modern Tank Girl.
Yeah.
Sure.
You have a wonderful, awesome, badass main lead character.
Yeah, from Keen Spot, which we never talk about. They usually do, they do Junior High of Horrors every year. which is one of my favorite one-shot anthologies.
This was pretty adult. Is King Spot adult?
It's in all things.
Okay.
All things, as a publisher, but we don't see a lot of it. They do a lot of adaptation type things, and then some weird like one-off and small series that you don't really see a lot from King Spot.
Yeah. It had some adult moments. I wouldn't say it was pretty adult, but I mean, Tank Girl is
very adult
because it feels like post-apocalyptic or kind of high fantasy sort of mixed between that.
But she has a superpower.
Right.
Yes, bad body odor.
Yes.
Hence the aromatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the art in this book is great. I also love that right off the bat she's trying to get a red crowbar-ish thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's very silly, but she's such a great main character.
Yeah, this is like a parody of Erica Slaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, and she's
Yes.
like, this
Maybe
is like
mixed
if
with
you
Conan.
right, like if you took like a Tank Girl and Erica Slaughter and then like made a mixed them together and made a parody, this is what that is.
Sure, totally.
I mean, I guess Tank Girl kind of is a parody of all the other things, but
I mean, Tank Girl came before. Then,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
way before.
Yeah.
Tank Girl was
So-
in the
Tank Girl,
90s.
I mean, yeah,
That movie was in the 90s.
right. Lori Petty in her greatness.
And fucking, what was it, Ice-T as a kangaroo?
Dude, I love those kangaroos.
Yeah,
my
for
God.
sure. For
That movie's
sure.
ridiculous.
And the great thing is this book has that potential
Mhm,
because it is set in kind of
Yeah.
a fantasy like world.
Yeah, she's fighting the undead
Right, and a goblin lady.
and a goblin lady, and she's just like, oh, by the way, like, I gotta take off my jacket. And then they're like, no!
Right.
And it's great too because there's kind of this moment where you feel in the very beginning where you're like, oh, they're very much sexualizing this character. And then they give you the body odor and you're like, oh yes, this is awesome. Like, you know, you kind of tear that down almost immediately.
Like,
and you're
yes,
like,
yes, she's taking a shower, but only because she reeks to high
yes,
heaven.
yes.
And nothing she does will solve that, and
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
And I also love the gimp suit, gas mask doctor that she teams up with
Right.
towards the end of this book. Like this hits everything that I need in a comic.
I read it, and I was like, this is Phil's pick of the week. Like, I was like, I didn't even have to suggest that. This is going to be Phil. I literally, like, closed the book and was like, all right, that's Phil's pick of the week. And then I was like, what are your picks of the week? And you put it down, and I was like, of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
top pick very easily.
Yeah. It was a good story, though. It was a lot of fun.
It's gonna be fun. You're gonna get that like hero's journey,
Mm-hmm.
but it's probably gonna get very out of hand.
Yeah.
I hope so.
The other Phil pick of the week is
Yes.
Speed Racer #1 from Mad Cave. It's not Speed Racer. It's not.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy?
You wrote it down.
Is the first thing I wrote was, I'm a huge fan of Speed Racing. I'm going to love this book.
It's literally Speed Racer, but it's not. It's like an adult version of Speed Racer. It's Speed Republic #1 is actually what it's called.
Yes, from Mad Cave.
It is actually for real from Mad Cave, but
Yes, and I immediately was like, oh, it's a Le Mans style, kind of like the 24-hour race that they did.
Mhm.
But it's a book completely set around a race, and this is very much like post-apocalyptic, kind of like Hunger Games a bit, in the sense of like they have to compete in this race.
for entertainment
Yes.
purposes,
Death
but also
race?
to survive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Death Race. There you go.
Mhm.
It is basically like Death Race and Wacky Races, which is one of my all-time favorite cartoons.
Yes.
Like, it's that you're gonna get a story surrounded by a lot of car driving, and that's one thing that I actually enjoyed about this book because there was a lot of scenes with cars, and sometimes you don't get that.
Nice.
I did wait for somebody to twirl a mustache. There was no mustache twirling. I
It'll
also
happen.
really wanted somebody at some point to say, "It's a race! I'm winning!" And nobody did that either. So I was like, okay, well, those are 2 points off,
Rat
but
race.
Well, hold on. This is only issue 1.
it's only issue 1. There's still time.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of time, but
Leave a comment about your favorite race movie.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think mine might be Cannonball Run.
Ooh. Wait, any type of race? Because if that's the case, I'm going to go Days of Thunder.
cool
My boy, Tom
running.
Cruise.
Ooh. Well, I would say like the overarching theme is one giant race taking place.
Now we've got
I see.
stipulations.
Oh, okay, now it changes.
I mean, you got Death Race, you got Cannonball Run, you got those two.
You went Tom Cruise being your boy and not Michael Rooker.
Rat Race, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Okay. Whatever.
Oh, hold on. I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan.
That's true. That's
That's
one
my
of those
boy.
things I hold against you on a daily basis.
I did not know this.
Really? Is that why you don't respond to all my messages?
I do respond to all your messages. I'm not Matt. I respond to your messages.
Yeah, Matt just completely ignores me.
Yeah.
Make sure you thoroughly vet your roommates. Make sure who you're living with, if they're a Tom Cruise fan, get out of there.
You're never there anyway.
Yeah. But what's really great is I leave Tom Cruise movies in his bedroom when he leaves.
Well, he also left whatever the Bible of Scientology is.
Yeah.
Well, he's Tom Cruise.
I'm slowly trying to convert him to
Anyway,
Scientology.
Speed Republic is all about, like, it's one giant race. We've got, and we, like you said, it's post-apocalyptic world, so, like, everything is bad, and they talk about it, kind of like in the Hunger Games, where it's like, this is the one thing that can help the people, but unlike Hunger Games, it's not in a bubble. It's across the whole country that's in disarray. So and of course he's the one good person, so he's trying to help people along the way.
Well, I don't know about that.
He might not be a great person.
He's kind of an asshole.
Oh, yeah, but he sees something happen, like somebody knocks over a water tower, and he's like, oh, let me help these people, like, pick it up. But then, he's still in the race, so he's not a great person, but he is kind of thinking about the other people along the way. We're gonna talk about a hero's journey. This is literally just a hero's journey setup. He's on an actual journey. You know, he's pod racing through Tatooine.
Oh my gosh.
It's so wizard. I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Also, for every first, especially to a speed racer, the ending of this book, very speed racer, and I was like, oh my god, I swear Philip K. Lindsay is a fan of Speed Racer.
Oh, for sure. Alright, so crossover issue 11 from the Eisner-nominated team of Donny Cates, Jeff Shaw, Dee Knuff, and John J. Hill.
How much of this can I show?
I mean, most of it.
Just show the second half. Like, the last pages really are where and honestly, truthfully, Donnie has already told you what the spoiler is.
Yeah.
So if you follow Donnie on the internet, I'm sorry it's been spoiled for you, but he warned you.
So, spoiler warning, the big reveal of this issue happened not this issue. The of this arc happened in the previous issue.
Yes.
So...
We're going to tell you, so that was your warning. Spoiler warning for issue 10 of crossover.
Like I can show that?
Yes.
Go for it. That happened in issue 10. So...
Donny Cates put himself in a book. Is this breaking the fourth wall?
No.
No, because he's not talking to the audience.
It's just super meta. It's meta as heck.
It's meta as heck.
Is what it is.
Hey, what was the joke I was going to say? Oh, man, I was going to say something about this.
Well, it's really good.
It'll come to you.
Well, yeah. So we know now that Donny Cates, according to the police in crossover, Donny Cates might be responsible for all the things wrong in crossover. I'm going to let Nigel tell you the rest of what's currently happening so I don't ruin anything.
I mean, I'm the worst at when it comes to spoilers.
Yeah, but I don't know where to stop.
Okay, so the entire thing in this issue, Donnie is creating what the government believes to be all the problems that are happening. And they've had him locked up and underground in some secret bunker. And Donnie wrote a story called Crossover. And as far as we know, this happened in real life. As Donnie wrote a story called Crossover, and then according to him in this story, it was shelved for a very long time, and then Jeff Shaw was like, we need to bring it back. So he is referencing the current artist on this story. I mean, how meta can you get?
It gets meta. It gets more meta.
But I mean, I love it.
It gets even more meta as this issue folds on, but we're not going to spoil anything for you because...
And I love how he made himself like aged up, like all in prison and whatnot. He made himself look like Alan Moore.
He did. He very much did. Or at least Jeff Shaw did.
Right.
And I at least 4 text messages from people that said, "Can you believe how well that Jeff nailed Donnie's facial expressions?"
Well,
And I was like, oh no, Jeff Shaw has probably been saying for the last 15 years, "Don't fucking look at me like that, Donnie." And then finally got to draw that in a comic.
Right. Donnie, you're making that face again.
Right.
I'm gonna
I
draw
know
it.
what that face means, Donnie. And so Jeff's been waiting for this moment to draw Donnie making the faces. So many great things. I love that Donnie writing himself put his stutter into it, because that is something that Donnie does talk about a lot, is that he does have a stutter, and it's very important to him that people do recognize that as something
John
about
Goodman?
him. And so
That's all John Goodman.
Yeah.
But it's very important that he recognizes it, and he's putting himself out there. He's very transparent when it comes to this issue, and I mean he's exposed. I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly and truthfully, I do know for a fact that Crossover is a story that Donnie started a long time ago and did actually shelve a long time ago, and then brought it back recently, obviously, to come out. So it's fun that he mentioned that, because he did actually do that. And it's a very emotional story that we're seeing from here, and the big reveals that come at the end. Again, if you don't want to know, don't look at Donnie Cates' Instagram. He doesn't have Twitter anymore, so thankfully he can't spoil things in the moment. But he did post on his Instagram what the spoiler from this is, because it leads us to a very big thing happening in Crossover 12. So
this is one of those stories where when it comes out, it's one of the first issues I read, and it very much feels almost like a love story to just comics in general.
Absolutely,
and it's because it's filled. Every issue you get tens of references to characters. You're just looking like, oh, I wonder who am I gonna tens. I know who am I gonna see in this issue, and they can't get away with a whole lot, but. It's fun. It's a very fun story. I'm loving it.
It is a love letter to comic books.
Tens of references.
A love letter to comics, and a love letter specifically to my pick of the week, Image Comics. In case you haven't been watching the rest of the live stream, I'm obsessed with this book that came out this week, which is the official Image Comics timeline. And I'm going to hand this over to Phil. This is phenomenal. So Image just celebrated its 30th anniversary last week, I believe. And so this book came out, which is an actual timeline from the first time that Rob Liefeld and Mark Silvestri and them went to dinner together with the people from Malibu Comics at San Diego Comic-Con and said, what if you published our books? What if we made books and you published them? All the way to what we're talking about right now. This book characterizes all of it. It talks about the good and the bad. They point out when they voted Rob Liefeld out, which happened on the week of my birthday.
R.I.P.
They reference. They actually put in there that the Image employees decided to have a vote to unionize. And some of the really cool things I like about it is it'll kind of give you a timeline on the side, and it gives you these important moments. And then in the middle, it shows you the covers from the comics that were also out at that time. So, it talks about when Walking Dead came out, and when the first, appearance of Invincible, which is not an Invincible #1. Sorry if that's what you're banking on. It's not an Invincible #1. If you read your Image timeline, you're going to find out that Invincible #1 is not the first appearance of Invincible.
Is it number 0?
No, it is in a different book entirely, and that is actually on the page that you're on, I think.
Wow,
if you're on that. Yeah. 2003 January, it's somewhere in here where it'll tell you where the first appearance of Invincible was.
Family Secrets #3.
Well,
first
features
appearance
the first
of
appearance.
There goes the question for the night, for the prize. Sorry.
No, that's not it. But I learned that today, though, that Invincible #1 is not the first appearance of Invincible, which I always thought it was.
But is that like a cameo or like what? Because Marvel considers like Spider-Man 299 to be the first Venom.
It's a vignette on the cover and a cameo inside the book.
It's on the CGC label.
Oh, shit.
Oh, first appearance of Invincible. So all you people speculating on Invincible
Speculators,
#1,
go get it.
Get your what was it? Family Secrets #3.
Noble Causes Family Secrets.
Really?
No, what was it?
A 9.4 is $200.
That
Oh,
is-
Nigel's just gonna buy one for the rest of the live stream.
Sorry guys, I gotta step
1,000,
away.
1,100.
Yeah, this is a really fascinating book. We learn in this book that in 1992, Chicago Comic-Con, which I believe may have become what C2E2 is, but Chicago Comic-Con actually wanted to honor Image and made a whole Image celebration out of the Comic-Con, and Marvel, DC, and Dark Horse were so upset about it that they actually pulled out of the con, even though it was the 30th anniversary of Spider-Man, and there was supposed to be a big Spider-Man event. So we saw that happen in there. They even talk about, like, you know, Jim Lee wasn't at a presentation because he was having a kid born. Like, they tell us everything. This Phil's captivated by the stuff at the back of the book. Sorry,
It's all
guys.
action figures. So
It's all the
Yeah,
toys.
it's just all the toys.
And they talk about that.
Sorry guys.
They talk about that. They honestly bring out when Todd McFarlane filed for bankruptcy. Like, they tell you everything in this.
Yeah. So warts and all.
Yeah, they don't hide the bad stuff. But what I love about it is it tells you when the big creators came over. You know, like I said, like Scott Snyder first came over for this book. Tony S. Daniel Noctera's first book with Image. You know, Brian K. Vaughan came for this.
I really appreciated what you told me that they did for Jack Kirby.
Yeah. They originally, when they started Image Comics, it talks about this in there, they called Jack and Roz Kirby, and they said, you know, we want to actually make every Image comic book for the rest of time say Jack Kirby presents Image Comics. And, you know, Jack and Roz were like, no, do your thing, but we are interested in doing something with y'all. And they eventually did print, Jack did a book for Image, and Image gave 100% of the profits to Jack. And that was a big thing. They were like, we're not going to keep any of it because Jack Kirby obviously always got screwed on his profits. So they gave 100% of the profits to Jack when he did a book with them and didn't keep anything from it. And you see a lot of things in here. The one thing that's missing from this book that is a standard for me for Image is there's not a single point in here where Todd McFarlane goes, stop fucking working for Marvel. And so I feel like there's a little inaccuracy in the book, only in that sense. But there is a letter from Valentino at the beginning. It is done by Valentino, which is really cool, being, you know, the first main editor for Image Comics. It's fascinating, and being the originators of the indie comic, small press indie comic creator owned titles. This is the official Image timeline, celebrating 30 years, and having that. This is a piece of comic book history, and if you're a fan of comic books, especially if you're a fan of indie comics, this is a piece that I think everybody should just put in their collection, and have it and just read it and enjoy it. And if you don't like reading, I don't know why you're watching this. But if you don't want to read, there is the great Image Revolution documentary that kind of has a lot of the same information in it. But, you know, February 8th, 1999, Todd McFarlane bought Mark McGuire's 70th home run baseball for $3 million.
I do remember hearing that
which
story.
I think appears in the documentary.
$3 million.
Yeah, it does.
And so there's a whole bunch of really cool things in here about each of the creators. They do focus less on Jim Lee than any of the other ones, which makes sense since Jim is at DC. They don't want to highlight a lot. And there was a lot of time at the very beginning where Jim didn't even want his name included in a lot of the Image stuff, and they note that. They're like, Jim, because he did not want to be seen publicly, like, with Image.
Right, he didn't want to see us like he was turning his back on Marvel or anything like that.
But they do note in here when Jim gives Wildstorm to DC and how long it's been there. But I love that I learned about Hellcop being something that, Hellcop premiered, returning after a 22-year hiatus, and they do have the start of Saga in here, and they have the start of Ice Cream Man in here. Like, that was a monumentous moment for Image, that it actually makes it in here that Ice Cream Man launched in 2017, in January 2017, I think, January 2018, Ice Cream Man, and they talk about how Marjorie Liu became the first woman to ever win an Eisner Best Writer Award in 2018 for Monstrous.
Great book.
Yeah, there's so many incredible milestones for indie comics and indie comic creators that happen because of Image Comics, and they're all in here. So, again, if you're a fan of comic books and you like to have comic history, this is a great way to have an easy, digestible comics. Right. I've been reading it out loud to people all day long. Like, I'm, like, sitting in here in this shop reading it, and people are coming in, and they're like, oh, what are you reading? And I'm like, did you know? Like, they don't even answer them. I'm like, did you know that this happened? Yeah. And they're like, no, go on. And then I'm like, oh, and then this happened. Poor Charles, I read half the book out loud to Charles today while he was here. But it's an absolute great way. It's Image Timeline. And congratulations, Image, A, on unionizing your employees, and B, for 30 years. Yeah. Of creating comics, and that's fantastic. I'm so glad that they took the chance and created it. So also very glad that they eventually moved away from Malibu, because the original years Malibu was distributing their comics for them, and everybody thought Image was an imprint of Malibu, and I'm glad they stepped out of even that shadow of Malibu Comics. Right. Which I learned today that Malibu was bought by Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know that. So
the whole start of it was creators wanting to own their own content.
Right. Because Todd created this, did his Spider-Man cover, and it was the highest selling book. And then Rob did whatever Rob did.
Deadpool?
No, it was X Factor.
X-Force.
X-Force, thank you. And that was one of the also high selling book. I guess it was X-Force first, highest selling book. Then Spider-Man beat that out, and then of course Jim Lee's X-Men.
Right.
And it was and they didn't see.
And X-Men was the highest selling of all time. Still
the highest selling. Yeah. And it was like, hey, we should be getting more money for this. And when they were told no, and I'm gonna read you what the guy from Marvel said. I'm gonna read it to you because I'm not gonna say it as if it was me. Because I don't want...
These are not her words. She's quoting somebody else.
I don't want my name on what this guy said at all, but in December 20th of 1991, McFarlane, Liefeld, and Lee have a meeting with Marvel CEO Terry Stewart to tell him that they're leaving. McFarlane had previously actually retired from Marvel 4 months earlier. Stewart offered them their own imprint called Epic, which McFarlane rejected colorfully. Again, stop fucking working for Marvel is what I imagine he said. Which Stewart then responded to, you boys don't get that anyone can pick cotton.
Ooh.
So, that was a terrible response from the guy in charge of Marvel at the time.
Wow. Who is that?
Terry Stewart, who was in charge of Marvel at the time. That was a very poor choice of words, and they all walked at that point. And then the next day, they walked into DC, and none of them worked for DC, but they quit there, too.
I wonder why I've never heard of Terry Stewart.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's going under wraps for that reason. Yeah. So, there you go.
Yeah.
And from there, Image became, that was in
they've come up with so many great stories.
So many great stories. They actually, their first Free Comic Book Day story, we were talking about this earlier, was a Tomb Raider comic.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be your
no,
question.
It's not my trivia question. Don't worry.
Okay.
When they ended up creating, 2010 was when they created the Image First, which are the dollar reprints that give you a chance to read those series. They created the $9.99 first art trade, which of course according to this book they still continue, but Ice Cream Man is not $9.99. Neither is Redneck.
Ice Cream Man's not on there. I don't think Redneck's on the cover, or God Country.
God Country is mentioned specifically in this book. Crossover is the cover of Crossover is on the back of this book, but I don't think. I think because they mentioned God Country in the book, and Crossover is the one that they chose to actually feature. Fantastic book. My pick of the week for sure, because it is just a giant history lesson in Image Comics and comic book history in general. Right. So again, congrats Image on 30 years. And, good job, all of you who are still there and still working hard. Yeah. It's great. Anyway, so those are our picks of the week. Nigel, can you fill that up for me,
Certainly.
please? And we're going to go into some in-stocks that we're going to power through really fast. first thing, I won't do that first. That's a terrible idea to go first with that. First things first, speaking of Image Comics, is The Scumbag from Rick Remender. It tells you when Rick Remender first worked for Image in that book. So I learned so many things, guys. But this is issue 13? 12. Okay. This is issue 12 of Scumbag, which is all about a guy who is the worst person in the world, and he got the super serum, basically, of Captain America, and is doing a terrible job. Daredevil Woman Without Fear by Chip Zdarsky. This is Elektra working as Daredevil. Batman 120, Joshua Williamson's run on Batman. I haven't read it, and I kind of want to, because I love Joshua Williamson.
I read the first issue, and I'm kind of intrigued, but then I think it's Batman.
It's Batman. I know, I'm going to read quote. No,
Yeah, of course I love Batman. I mean, he's Batman, but at some point you're like, okay, I get it.
There's no.
Your parents are dead. You hate the world. Move on.
Poor Batman.
I mean, it does get to that point, though, where you kind of bully the guy, where you're like, dude, you're like your own worst enemy, and I'm kind of tired of hearing.
Parents are dead.
And honestly, I want to see what goes on with Chip Zdarsky's story because of that. Because of the "you are your own worst enemy" comment you just made. I think Chip Zdarsky's going to really play into that in the night, and I'm curious.
I don't. I think he's going to kind of do the opposite.
You don't think he's going to talk about Batman being his own worst enemy? Sean Murphy did a good job with that.
Yeah.
And yeah. What is this? What do you got?
This is Spider-Woman vs. Spider-Woman, number 19.
Spider-Woman, number 19. It's a Devil's Reign tie-in. Star Wars Crimson Reign, number 2 is out. Star Wars High Republic, number 14 is out. The end of Fantastic Four Life Story. This is issue 6. This is the end of Mark Russell's Fantastic Four story. We've got Detective Comics, issue 1051. We've got Ants. Speaking of Image, Eric Larson still going strong on that title. We've got Phil's favorite writer, Cullen Bunn, back with Basilisk, issue 7. Geiger, the 80-page giant, finally out. Jeff Johns
nice.
Jeff Johns' first title with Image Comics. Geiger, yes. Mm-hmm. This is the Giant got delayed until now. The series ended forever ago. The Giant finally came out. Invader Zim its quarterly comic is out.
Oh, is this a number 1?
They just do quarterly stories with Invader Zim, and I never remember to bring them, so I thought I'd bring one this week.
So they do 4 a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also Cullen Bunn, Maynard Black is back. This is one of Cullen Bunn's biggest series, and that's a Francavilla cover as well.
Yes.
Told you he had a lot of covers this week. Terry Morris Serial. This is the final issue.
Issue number 10.
This was done 2 years ago, though, the cover for that.
Yeah. Walking Dead, issue 32 of the Deluxe. These are reprints of the Walking Dead story in color, finally, because if you didn't know, Walking Dead was never printed in color before now. Arkham City Order of the World is back, and this is the secret story that everybody that's reading it is loving.
Ooh, Dan Waters is writing it.
This has been literally like when this came out, I was like, oh, another Batman themed book. This has nothing to do with Batman, and all the people who are reading it are like, no, this is the Gotham story you need to read.
Okay.
Joker, a puzzle box, which is Matthew Rosenberg, whose birthday is today.
Hey, happy birthday, Matthew Rosenberg.
Matthew Rosenberg.
I'm sure you're watching.
Yeah, he's definitely not. But if you did see this on my Facebook, happy birthday, Matthew Rosenberg. Justice League Incarnate, issue 4. I brought the variant because I love this cover. Apparently, Justice League Incarnate is going to be one of those big, like, key people you need to be watching. Your speculators. Justice League Incarnate is the series you need to be watching because something's about to happen in there. One Star Squadron, issue 3 of 6. Suicide. Yeah, everybody talks about it.
Mark Russell.
It's a great team.
Yeah, it's Mark Russell too.
It's a solid team. Oh!
Yeah. Suicide Squad. Still.
What? I'm just kidding.
You got hands?
It's Mark Russell, not Liam Russell.
And it's Red Tornado leading a team.
And that's what I want.
Is it Red Tornado, like second Red Tornado, or like Ma Hunkel Red Tornado?
No, it's the second.
Okay.
He was also the leader of the Teen Titans.
No, I want Ma Hunkel back.
It might be.
Or Young Justice.
Yeah, I want Ma. Give me my Ma and her pot on her head.
No, come on. They put that to rest real quick.
Well, they were wrong. Okay.
It was a good decision.
But no. World of Krypton, issue 3 of 6 is continuing. Aliens finally back. Alien is finally back. Issue 9. Avengers. But dude, the whole series has had some great covers for Alien.
Yeah.
And it's actually a really good story. Also, if you haven't checked it out,
You want to show the people?
I feel like
Look at that cover. It's a waterfall that turns into an alien's head. Come on.
does he just ignore when I put the comics up?
yeah.
Is he just ignoring? what
Well,
I'm
he has to
putting
see
up
it. So, I got to give the people what they want.
Flipped and then went away.
We're talking about it, and you're like, oh. If you don't pause it, they don't see it.
there? I don't know what books we're gonna stop. talking about.
Nigel, this is like your first time doing it. You're gonna tell Phil how to do it.
He's
Oh
been
my
cri-
god.
he's been
Uh,
criticizing
second
the whole
time?
Oh man.
I've been on the
Phil,
show
I'm
before.
sorry, buddy.
Okay.
You've been on the show a lot, but you've never held the books before.
It's an
I'm
art
not
form.
a bookman. I'm sorry.
Oh man, this is because they're roommates, so this is just great roommate rivalry going on.
Well, the thing is I don't see him all that. I see him like for 10 minutes every weekend. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna do laundry and then leave." And this time I actually spent time with him. I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, please go, get out of here."
Whatever. I have text message. I have receipts to prove that that's not how Phil thinks.
Sorry, I annoyed you with my presence.
I have receipts. Phil loves that you're here. Don't let him lie
That
to you.
is Shannon. That was a private
Avengers.
conversation.
Tech on Avengers issue 6 is back. If you've ever wondered what Avengers and some like mech suit kind of stuff was like, this is it.
I do like that they're doing some of the mech suit stuff.
Yeah. Kazar is still a series that is happening.
What?
Yeah, dude, issue 5.
Whoa.
Where have
Is
you
it
been?
Kelly
It was-
Thompson?
It is A. Thompson. I don't know if it's Kelly Thompson.
It's got to be Kelly.
You should open it up and look while you're
That's what I was
over
going to do.
there. Legends, Black Panther, issue 3. Do not be confused. This is not Black Panther, issue 3. This is not the first appearance of
Whoa.
Watson. Please do not attack me. It is a different Black Panther.
This is the key, right?
Zach Thompson.
See, I was like, it's not Kelly, and people would be picking it up
Right?
left and right. The Marvels is back. The Marvels has had the best covers.
It really is.
It has had
Great
the best
covers.
covers.
Unfortunately, no one knows about the story. So.
I know. Savage Spider-Man launched this week with his great Scotty Young cover. Scotty Young had multiple covers this week, as per Scotty Young talent. Love it.
Okay.
Shang-Chi issue 8, also Jean Nguyen Yang, who's been writing this the whole time, and it's a great Shang-Chi series. If you love the Shang-Chi movie and you miss Shang-Chi and you need more, you should read this series.
Real quick,
Yeah.
for people who don't know, Savage Spider-Man is a continuation of Non-Stop Spider-Man.
Thank you. I did
Yep.
not know that.
Yes, it is. It's actually got the text right here underneath Savage is just covered up by Savage. It says Non-Stop. Yep. It's a direct continuation. Direct continuation.
Oh, that's awesome. I learned something new tonight. Thank you, Nigel. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Halcyon Legacy.
Oh.
That's a lot of a title, but apparently it's been a hot book to grab this week because people have been coming
Can
in.
we also just say that very much like Batman,
There's
seems to be
so
way
many
too much
Star Wars. So much Star Wars.
Like, why do we need this many titles?
There's a lot. There's probably 13 Star Wars titles. The Thing is back again this week.
Matt's favorite book.
Issue 4.
You still reading it, Matt?
No.
But not for lack of love.
I've heard good things.
Matt-
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt liked it when he was reading at the beginning. X-Men Legends. This is Louise and Walter Simonson. Issue 12
Wait,
of
what?
X-Men Legends is going to be 12 or 13 is Claremont.
I thought they were mostly Claremont.
No,
They're all Louise.
they've been mostly Louise, actually, Louise and Walt. But there is a Claremont issue coming up soon. Thank you, Bill.
Maybe I was thinking of like the Claremont special or whatever.
Oh, the special that they did for a while, yeah. And then Amazing Spider-Man issue 88, the first appearance of the Goblin Queen. I don't
Spec
have.
book of the week.
It was spec book of the week. I don't have cover A's, but I do have these great Gwen Stacy variants. If you don't know, there is Gwen Stacy variants coming out of all the books, which nobody in the world sees a point to except for
Right.
me.
Ask yourself, which do you like more? Some random goblin adaptation or Gwen Stacy? Come on.
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen all the way.
All right, but hold on. I feel like we've had a good amount of Gwen Stacy covers.
We never.
You're
had
only going to
enough.
get more.
That is not true. There
Never-
was the
I
one
said I
period
never
where
had
they
enough.
put Gwen on every
We
cover.
had-
You know
we
what? She
actually-
deserves
Because
all
her
the
book was
covers
coming
ever
out.
since they killed
And
her off.
that's the same thing.
Because her book was
And
coming
it's
out.
the same thing
Yeah.
again. Gwen has the Gwenverse coming
Gwenverse,
out
yeah.
soon. So it is
Another
in
one?
celebration
Yes,
for
which
the Gwenverse.
I will be
because
subscribing
they
to.
canceled the other Gwen series because of COVID and we never got an in, so now we're getting a Gwenverse book. I'm here for
What's
it.
going on
Me
in the
too.
Spider-Man universe? You bring the Gwen stuff back. You got Ben Reilly back.
Oh,
What are we doing?
Wait, you don't like
the
Ben
good
Reilly?
stuff.
I
No,
love
he
the
loves-
Ben Reilly. Actually, I really enjoyed the first issue of
He
Ben
did. It was his
Reilly.
pick of the week last week.
It was.
And let's be honest, when Gwenverse comes out, it'll be my pick of the week because I love me some Gwen.
It might be
Stacy.
mine unless it comes out the same week as Captain Carter.
That's fair. And one more in stock, because we did talk about Donnie being a character in crossover. We brought out this Megan Hutchinson Kate 616 exclusive crossover issue where she drew Donnie being told by Ellie that he's not doing it right.
Right.
I love this cover.
Yeah, me too,
So much,
me too.
and it's more relevant now to the story than ever. So thanks, Meg, for secret spoilers the whole
Right?
way.
It's not the first time she's done that either.
No, she's really
She
good
had
at secret
Madman
spoilers.
on the cover of like issue 2 or 3. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
she's been secret spoiling the
Yeah,
crossover all
right.
along, and so
I mean, I'm all in favor of it.
right, buy those Megan Hutchinson Kate 616 exclusives for those secret crossover spoilers. And yes, this is
First Donnie Cates in comics.
first
Right.
Donnie Cates cover.
First,
Is that what Key
first
Collector
cover
is?
appearance of Donnie Cates.
First,
Is that in Key Collector?
It will be.
It will
it should be.
I would willing to bet it will be. And
Make the
it's
edit.
done by his wife. The amazing Megan Hutchinson Cates.
The amazing, incomparable, my favorite Megan Hutchinson Cates. All right, we got some trades. Nigel, do the sound effect.
It's not the explosion every time.
That's what was that?
It's a whoosh.
Oh. Well, you know what? You get the explosion because it's cooler than.
It's fine, y'all.
Trade.
Nigel, Nigel fights with you about how to hold the comics. You fight with him about the sound effects. It all works out.
Have you told me how to hold comics?
Oh my god, we just went through this argument 5 seconds ago. Alright, so we're gonna start with this. Speaking of Chris Claremont, as we were earlier, the Wolverine miniseries deluxe edition comic. This
Frank Miller.
This has Wolverine 1 through 4 and Uncanny X-Men 172, 173. It is written by Chris Claremont and illustrated by Frank Miller. And
The limited series.
yes.
Right,
Original-
it is
first,
that original
the
Wolverine
first
limited
series.
series.
Not the
In
ongoing.
lieu of an epic collection.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's not an epic collection, and it's got the those other X-Tines.
But this is only $19.99 for this deluxe edition. Because you're not getting those issues for that price, so you might as well buy this trade.
You can this original cover right here. Forget about ever owning it. I don't own one.
And if the Keymaster doesn't have one, you're not getting one.
Yeah,
So
this is your best chance to read these highly acclaimed stories.
if I wanted to buy these issues singly, how much would it cost me, Nigel? Roughly.
Maybe $350, $400 between there.
Matt's giving you a face.
If you bought them at Bat City, it cost you $150.
If you buy them anywhere else. Do we have them right now, though? No, we
Well, there
do
you
have,
go.
We have a 9/6
You
number
want to know
4.
why?
We have a 9/6 of number 4 on the wall, and it's
175.
175.
But that's graded.
Yes, it's
That's
graded.
graded.
It's not.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah, it's on the
It's
wall.
on the wall.
It's on the wall.
that's not a wall.
That's a case.
2, 3, 4, like $25 each.
$25. How much is issue 1?
$80.
$80 here.
I disagree with that.
I would sell it for $80.
The first, well, you would, but that's not where. Unless you come here, you can't get it for that much.
There you go. So apparently you should be buying your keys at Bad City.
Which I've been doing for a very long time.
Yes.
I learned that lesson
fact,
long ago.
If you didn't get your keys at Bad City, it's because Nigel did.
I'm sorry. Moral of the story: get there before I do.
That's not. Are you crazy?
I live in Waco.
That's true. You have time now. Wednesday through Friday is when you can buy keys before Nigel. Fight Girls from AWA Upshot. This is Frank Cho's story. This is, honestly, we were talking about Hunger Games earlier. This is very much a Hunger Games style story. A bunch of women have to compete to become the next queen of this empire, and they go through all of these obstacles. Each one is issue one's like the desert, then the next one's like the ocean. We go through this entire battle, and definitely leaves us in an open ending where we could continue, which of course is an AWA standard. This is 5 issues, and this was a very popular title. I think my issue 3 sold out, so if you didn't get a chance to read this, we've got the trades now.
It's only $9.99.
Yeah, all AWA Upshot trades are $9.99 for every volume. Geiger, this is the complete collection, issues 1 through 6. If you were like, why are we all talking about this 80-page giant? Why should I read it? Well, this is the trade. There you go. And how much is that?
$9.99.
$9.99.
Which has been also very acclaimed. It's a cool story about a radioactive skeleton.
I'm not a Jeff Johns fan,
It's scary
especially
Frank
with recent
art.
news.
But if you are, pick up Geiger.
I actually really enjoyed that book a lot.
We talked about Basilisk coming back. This is volume 1 of Basilisk. This is kind of
Cullen Bunn.
what happens if somebody has superpowers, all based, like a group of people all have superpowers, but they're based on the different 5 senses, and they're trying to take down a town. So there you go.
Nice.
I'm reading this review of Cullen Bunn, and I strongly disagree.
That's not surprising. Crossover Volume 1. If you never got into Crossover, here's your chance. Volume 1. This is issues 1 through 6, I believe. And this is not... And it is not $9.99.
If you want those tens of
$19.99.
nods to
We should
classic
scratch this one
characters.
Matt, do you have Whiteout?
No, it's $19.99. Also, we talked about a great Latinx comic this week with Primos, but
Love Home.
Home came out. What I love about this trade actually is that it has in the back, it actually has the teacher resource guide.
Oh, wow.
They made a guide on how to teach this in your classroom, and they included it in the trade paperback, which is incredible.
Unless you live in Leander.
Right, then you can't teach this. You probably cannot teach this book in your class. But if you do live in Leander and you are a teacher and you want to, you can just call me and I will give you a copy of this book.
For $16.99.
I will give it to you for free.
No,
I will give it to you for free.
That's the opposite of what she's saying.
Yeah.
$16.99.
If you
With
are
10%
if
discount.
you are a teacher in Leander and you want a copy of Home to teach in your classroom and teach kids about the what it's like to travel into America and get stopped at the border and put into a cage, and how America handles that, I will literally give you a copy. And if you're a teacher anywhere and you need a copy of that for your classroom, just give me Speaking of making an impact with your storytelling, this for the first time in forever, Captain America Truth is finally reprinted. Thank you, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Took them way too long to do it.
And honestly, it is because of Falcon and Winter Soldier that they reprinted this. But this is the story of Isaiah Bradley and all of the other black men who were put the super soldier serum was tested on before it was given to Captain America. This is a very emotional journey and a great storytelling from Marvel. And if you've never read this, this is you can show it. This is a great story. If you found if you watched Captain America and Winter Soldier or Falcon and Winter Soldier, and you were like, who is Isaiah Bradley and what are they talking about? This is the story that tells you that.
Right.
And Phil's going to show you something, I think.
That's cool.
That is a cool page that you just passed.
There you go.
And this has been impossible to get prior to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And then since Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's even harder to get.
Forget about it.
So this is one of the first times they've reprinted this as a collection. So,
Forget about it.
Lastly, Nigel specifically asked for this to be brought because we never talk about our offices.
It has been at least a year, maybe. It's been a very long time since I've been on the show, and this has come out since then. It was recommended by friend of the show, Matt, live
producer of the show,
and you can't. It's not a trade at all. It's an omnibus, and I would even call it more than an omnibus. It's a tome.
Yeah.
You know, it is heavy. It's got some girth to it. But this is everything that Jack Kirby did whenever he went over to DC, excluding, I would say, Commandy.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
It does not include Commandy.
Right.
Commandy, Demon, Elmac.
This is just
This is all of whenever they introduced Darkseid, Miracle Man, and
No, Mr. Miracle.
Mr. Miracle.
We've been talking about Donnie.
I always do that.
It's Forever People.
Oh, Jimmy Olsen.
Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen.
Yep.
It's
New
got
Gods.
New Gods and Mr. Miracle.
Forever People.
I already said
That was
Forever
the first
People.
one.
Yeah.
I haven't been drinking one.
And the Hunger Dogs.
And then the Hunger Dogs, which is the follow-up conclusion that came out 10 years later.
I could have sworn OMAC was fourth.
Anyways, I haven't finished it. I'm working on it. I'm still on Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, man.
I know.
the very.
It's sorry. No, I'm on Mr. Miracle. It starts at Jimmy Olsen. Then it goes to Forever People, and then Forever People.
New Gods.
Guys, this is why we invite Nigel on the show.
All right, look. All I'm saying is Jack Kirby laying down some history at DC.
It's the Bible of comics.
Right?
Yes.
It is a Bible.
100%.
This should be worshipped. It's on my altar. I hope it's on yours too.
Matt
If it's not, you can get it here at Bat City.
Matt wanted to get one of those like Bible readers, like the family Bible
Right.
things, because you put your family Bible on it and you just leave it open. Matt was like, I need that to read this.
Just a
And
stand.
we do have a subscriber who has one of those because he reads all of his issues in the original prints. Like he read his New God series in the original run, and he has one of those, and he uses gloves and he puts it on there, and then he reads it and he carefully turns the pages like with like a page turner and gloves, but he reads it on one of those like lap desk or tabletop lecterns. And I'm always that Matt was like, I need one of those just to read this book because it's so huge.
It's the Bible.
Yeah,
Yes.
You
Ram said.
You haven't read
And-
comics.
Right. It took a long time for this to come back because I ordered this.
It took a year and a half.
Very
from when
long
we ordered.
time.
But that's
ago.
because the distributors changed in the process.
Yeah, but I mean, so these omnibuses, they get printed, I would say semi-frequently. You know,
Yes.
it's not, I wouldn't say often. They come out, and then once they're gone, they usually shoot up in price because it takes a while for you to get your hands on them. Until they come out with the next printing.
Yeah. If you love modern comics, if you love the Eternals movie, if you love anything about comic books at all.
Jack the King Kirby, this is the stuff for you to get.
Yes, Ram says in loving memory of Jack Kirby and worship hands. And absolutely. This is his masterclass in writing and art and existing.
Right.
This is it. And so we have
did
this.
the whole thing in 11 months.
Yeah.
That
11
blows my
months.
mind.
Good
It's
lord.
done in 11 months.
Wow.
Good lord. So those are the trades we have in stock. Now we have a little bit of comic book news. Whoa.
Sorry.
Whoa.
Gotta hand off the baby.
And obviously we have a ton more trades in stock. We only bring you a small bit. They're usually connected to the comics that came out. If you are looking for any other trades, just give us a call or come by.
Y'all have been getting a lot of omnibuses, which is fantastic.
Yes. We have a lot of good omnibuses in stock right now. And a lot, I just had to clear off the bottom shelf on the half off trade thing so we could fit more half off trades. So, because it used to have like toys and stuff down there, so now the half off trades go all the way to the bottom on that because there's so many. So.
You know, you really got to stay on those half off trades. I was working the counter one day, and someone came up with Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, and I'm like, this was on the half off trade. I was like, what the? Come on!
I think
if I had known it was there, I would have got it.
I think Matt put a copy of Watchmen on there. Did you not?
I did. A lenticular copy.
A lenticular copy of Watchmen on the half off.
Dude,
trades.
the half off trades are fire.
Always check this half. I put Batman Harley Quinn on there yesterday. So, and I think today I sold Harley's Little Black Book off of there.
And there's 2 Spawn compendiums in full color.
And we sold the black and white one.
Compendiums? Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, guys, there's so
Jeez.
much on the
Just
half
a
of
compendium over here.
You need if you
those
haven't
big
checked
books.
them, you need to. Right, Phil loves big books and he cannot lie.
It is true.
So
This little shelf right here by the register is
Gets you
where
every
all the gold is at, though.
okay, but that has all those Fletcher books on
All
there
the
too,
Fletcher Hanks books.
and all the pre-code horror.
Should we
That
show
shelf
some of
right
those
there.
Fletcher Hanks?
Oh my god.
No, people will
because
have to
Phil
come in
wants
here.
to buy them.
Yeah, I don't want anyone else to know, but definitely look into Fletcher Hanks.
But also, well, and if you watch Tales from the Fridge, you know Fletcher Hanks because we went through the entire history of Golden Age women in comics and Phantoma and a bunch of other Fletcher Hanks.
Phantoma's so
And
good.
Phantoma's in both of the Fletcher Hanks books that we have right now. So, first female superheroes.
I think it's the same book, just softcover and hardcover.
I think so, essentially.
Because when he was flipping through the softcover earlier, I was like, oh, this
It's
is
very similar.
laid out just like the hardcover.
Mm-hmm.
So come in and get the softcover because the hardcover is going to be mine.
It will be mine. I have people all the time who come in and they look at some of those, like, the omnibuses, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna put it back now, and they're like, but it will be mine. And we have so many Wayne's World moments in the store where people are like, it will be mine.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it will be mine. I just want to like play that clip back and forth in here. So comic news. There's a lot of big announcements for shows and movies. Like for one, Madame Web is going to be played by Dakota Johnson, which I know you love, Phil. Phil's a huge Dakota Johnson fan.
Which
50 Shades
do
of
we
Grey.
still have? Do y'all still have the first Madam Web on the wall?
No, I sold it yesterday.
Ah, well, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah.
I literally... you were here. The guy that was going to buy the Spider-Man Dome.
I was trying to convince him to buy it. I don't remember if he did, though.
You did, because he put the Spider-Man, it's not Precious Moments, but the Spider-Man Dome.
Oh, right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he put no, that's a Wayne's World moment. He tells me every week
Right.
that will be his, so
You're right.
I know that it will someday. But yeah, that Madame Web, we actually just sold it. But, ooh, we got some half-off trades. We're going to back up really fast. I'm putting that last because that's my favorite. Oh my god, we have a 50% off copy of Black. Why haven't I read that? Why is that not bought that copy? But yeah, Black, from Black Mass.
Wow.
This is, an incredible book, which if you're reading White, that is a sequel to it, or if you've heard a lot about White coming out recently, that's a sequel to Black.
I do know.
Silver Streak Archives. This is, dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Mike, you want to open that and show them some
Golden
of
Thank you.
Age.
Golden Age?
One of the characters' names is Dickie Dean, Boy Inventor.
This is your classic, like, Golden Age art.
Oh, it's so good. I love the Golden Age
Hard
stuff.
cover.
Hmm.
This is nice.
Yeah. And this comes from...
Oh, Dickie Dean.
This comes from Dark Horse's archives. Like, Dark Horse bought these and owns these. So...
Also, that looks like, the original Daredevil
Yes.
is in this.
Death-defying Devil.
Yeah, which is
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
Dynamite stuff now.
Yeah,
He-
Gail
he
Simone
got
just
brought
did that
back,
series.
Wow.
Was it Alan Moore that did 12?
What? The recent series?
No,
yes, that's Alan
It's
Moore.
Alan Moore.
And then Gail Simone just did a Death-defying Devil
Yeah, they're
series.
bringing back that universe,
Mhm.
which is super cool.
That was 2020 that I think Gail Simone did that. Here's the lenticular Watchman. It's got the Doomsday Clock cover.
That's cool.
That's
But it doesn't have the Doomsday Clock because it doesn't have the symbols.
right.
Rorschach's face just if you...
So it's an entire
The whole
wraparound
thing, the
is
back
a lenticular.
is a lenticular too, which is insane.
With a clock.
Is the side? No,
Yeah.
the side's not.
No,
The side's not. But the back is. The entire thing is, if I don't want to do it, but if I were
right?
to
You
do
could
this.
scratch it. I just noticed that when I picked it up. I was
Also,
like, ooh.
kind of like what Matt said earlier about if you haven't read
Oh, yeah.
Fourth
yeah.
World,
If
you've
you
never
haven't
read
read
comics,
Watchmen,
you've not read comics.
and backing that up even more, if you've read Watchmen and you haven't read the prose portions of Watchmen, you haven't read Watchmen.
Yes, correct.
Or the pirate.
Yes! Don't get me started on the Black Freighter and
They
how
have a
it's...
cut of the movie though with it.
I know. And if you don't know, The Curse of the Black Freighter is one of the most important pieces of comic books of all time, and I will die on that hill, and I will teach you that curriculum if you need to know.
Hey, I'll support you dying on that hill.
Thank you.
I won't die on it with you, but I'll be like, hey, there's Shannon dying on that hill.
There goes Shannon dying on that hill.
Look at her go.
Look at her go.
Hey,
It's
she's doing a great
okay. It's
job.
okay because Phil was willing to die on the hill that it was Billy Zane and the Mummy. And
I'll
so
still
at
die
least
on that
mine's
hill.
right.
You
And
stupid.
Come on.
It's one of tens of mistakes that
One of tens, you say?
Batman Harley Quinn also on our 50% off rack right now. One of the Spawn compendiums on our rack right now. And
Look at the side of that.
right, so you can see how big it is. And what's in that?
Ooh, it's
Does
a baby
it say?
boy.
It is issues 34 through 54.
And then we have.
And we have
too.
we have the beginning part of that.
All color.
And then Age of Ultron. This is that entire collection in hardcover, half off right now. And lastly, for these half off trades that I had to bring out, that Matt brought to us, I should say, Black of Heart, which is Source Point Press. And honestly and truthfully, this is the Source Point Press book to read if you haven't yet. Can you open that up?
Yes, most definitely.
Oh my God!
We
This
can also add that to news.
Ooh, what is the news?
The merch.
Oh yes, that is definitely
I'm
news.
sorry?
We will talk about. We'll say it right now because we were in news when Matt brought this. Source Point Press now has merch.
Yes.
You can buy shirts, you can buy hats, you can buy hoodies. It's a fantastic. I'm looking forward to owning a beanie from Source Point Press because I love the beanie. I know Phil's already picking out shirts that he wants, but if you go to the Source Point Press Instagram and click the link, you can get to their website and their merch section, but they do have merch for Source Point Press now.
What's Black?
Black of Heart is all about, it's a crime noir story for a guy who is on a hunt to find a murderer who is killing people in a cab, and it is 1949. It is so freaking good. It is an unbelievable story. It's dark and gritty, and the art is phenomenal. And if you haven't read it, read it. I'll take that, Nigel, if you don't.
There you go.
So yeah, if you haven't read Black of Heart, and the fact that there's one for 50% off is stupid.
Because it just came out.
It just came out, and it's a phenomenal story. And if Source Point doesn't sell that, if that doesn't get optioned, we're wasting time.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Come on, Hollywood.
Fantastic. Just do it. Just read it. So anyway, we talked about Dakota Johnson. Nigel told me today that Barbarella got optioned by Columbia for a new movie, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And
we love Barbarella here at Zoo.
I mean, there is those new comics. So, and then Brother Blood and Mother Mayhem are coming to Titan season 4.
Yes, which you told me about.
Which we've had, didn't we have? We had Brother Blood on Arrow, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So this will be an interesting take to see how
they debuted in New Teen Titans.
Teen Titans 21.
There you go. Ooh, Phil beating Nigel.
He's the keymaster, new keymaster over here.
We're switching rules.
Okay, well, actually, there is like a 10-year-old boy who's after both of your jobs on that point because he's fire. He knows his stuff.
Honestly,
I
I've been in this game long enough. He can have it. He can take over.
For what?
I'd like to see him hold up some of these.
He
I'd like to see him hold that fourth.
You know what? He watches this show, so he might actually be down to be on it if
Come
there was
down
no
here.
wine.
Come down here. And,
If you can hold up a book and you can drink some wine, you got the job.
You cannot drink the wine. I would not let you. But we'll give you Phil's Dr. Pepper.
Let's see how you are after one glass of wine.
No, we would never allow a child to drink wine.
Unless they're cool.
No, not even then. Because I'm an educational nonprofit and I don't want to lose my status. Thank you
Unless
very
they
much.
can talk comics.
No. Another thing that Nigel told me is The Banks, which is a title from TKO, was optioned, which is really exciting to see TKO Studios get
Long
optioned.
time.
Yeah.
They have a lot of books that definitely are very cinematic.
Yeah. Other than that, important Bat City news, cleaning and pressing is still closed. There is no, like, pre-list, none of that, like, Matt's closed. There's nothing, like, when March 1st comes around, Matt will let us know whether or not he is good to go, but there are signings still happening, and that is a big part of what pushed Matt back is the signings from CGC, those in-house signings, and if you're curious, Bendis and Bagley are doing a signing. The signing is March 4th, or the due date is March 4th, so if you want Matt to get your book ready to go, you need to bring it in by February 20th.
And I will clean and press.
And it will be, you do get clean and pressing if you're doing a signing. So that's why February 20th is the deadline for that. So Matt can clean, press, make sure your book is ready to go for the signing. So that's for Bendis and Bagley. So if you have those Ultimate Fallout 4s, You know,
Yeah.
you took it out of the poly bag. This is your chance to.
If it's in the poly bag,
Don't take it out of the poly bag.
if you got one, and it's
Take it out of the poly bag.
Don't take it out of the poly bag.
If you, all right, my suggestion: you got
meant
one.
to be
It's
read.
not in the poly bag, and it's not a 9.8. Go get it signed by the people who created Miles Morales.
That's the Keymaster talking right there.
If it's not a 9.8,
I'm speaking personal experience because I got a 9.8, and I'm like hesitant to send it off
in case it comes.
in
back
case
a
it
lower grade.
doesn't get a 9.8. I mean, but CGC, they are reputable professionals.
Yes.
Um,
Hype them up.
so I
Big fans.
am. I am considering sending off my 9.8 Ultimate Fallout 4 for the Bendis and Bagley signing. But, you already got that secured in a 9.8, so obviously I get any sort of hesitation.
Do you
So
have
I'm
to
gonna
get
that.
both signatures?
No,
You do not. You can pick one or the other. So we have a lot of people who are doing Bagley only.
but I will
Alright,
say
Michelle?
this. If you were to get just Bendis or just Bagley, it might cost you like 80 or 70. But if you get both, I think it's only 110 for both signatures.
But then
so you are
you got to do
saving.
an Ultimate Fallout 4 at that point. But like if you have a Bagley book, you can
Any-
just send a Bagley book.
Yeah, of course.
He's
Yeah.
doing a remark too.
Right, yeah.
You can get.
You can
Bagley
send
book.
any sort of Spider-Man related to blank, like King of Black, Absolute Carnage, or Spider-Man. Send it off for a Bagley remark, and then that is
We
I
had
Don't
sent a
have price.
Draculina blank.
we had
There you
we had
go.
Bagley do a remark on our Spider-Man Batman last time, which was
Right.
really cool because he did a remark of Batman. So we had
Right.
a Bagley Batman
Batman.
sketch.
Bagley doesn't
It
usually
sold
do
in 48
Batman.
hours.
It sold.
You search for
only
Bagley
one.
doing a Spider-Man. That was so many.
Yeah. So if you
Try
have
and get
Bagley
creative
books,
with your submission.
you have Bendis books. I'm sad Bendis isn't doing remarks.
I'm not.
No, because I think that would be cool because there's no.
He would be great.
Because what?
Claremont.
Yes, which is the next thing is Chris Claremont is doing a signing March 18th. If you want Matt to send your book off with cleaning and pressing, it has to be here by
Right.
March 10th. Or his due date is March 18th, so it has to be here to Matt by March 10th. And he is doing remarks.
Right. If you're an X-Men fan of any sort, I mean, you name a modern X-Men, like Claremont probably had a hand in creating them. I would absolutely. I'm like, whenever they announced that, I immediately went into my books and I was starting to dig like, what can I send him?
Dude, Charles had a Days of Future Past, like part 1 today, and was
Mhm.
like, I don't know what I should do with it. And we're like, send it to
It was
Claremont.
996.
It's
Right.
a minimal. Like,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
I-
It's like one of the most vibrant I've ever seen.
And am I talking right whenever I say that Bat City has some Claremont X-Men titles for sale?
We have some.
We
Yeah,
have some.
some.
Not like super major Claremont keys, but we do have some.
Yeah, but I mean, you got Wolverine number 4 on the wall,
We do.
and that's graded at CGC 9.4 or 9.6. 9.6. I was looking at that book, and you were looking at that book. I think if you were to let Matt crack it open and press it, I think that's a 9.8 for sure. That's my opinion.
There you go.
Opinion. It
Is
could
there
come back
any-
at 9.6.
Is there any non-X-Men Claremont books?
Yeah, there's
BJ, you're in the chat.
What
What's
el-
a
what
quick
else is
non
he
So
X-Men
he
Claremont?
had a hand in Avengers Annual number 10, right?
Ooh.
And also Mrs. Marvel. He wrote some Miss Marvel stuff.
Okay.
Before she was Captain Marvel.
They're number
And
102, first Claremont in comics.
BJ said X-Men 101, 141, 129, 194, and 96 would be great books to send to Claremont if you have any of those. BJ, do you have any non-X-Men suggestions people should consider? BJ being a huge Claremont
Oh,
fan.
Iron Fist.
Ooh.
there you go. Yep.
Sabretooth.
He said the Avengers Annual 10 obviously is first Rogue, so
Oh, yeah.
that's a good one to send.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
This is kind of going back a little bit. How would it increase or decrease the value if I got a first Madam Web signed by Dakota Johnson?
I mean,
Is it CGC?
Yeah, if I got it CGC Witness by Dakota Johnson, because I feel like that's my goal now.
obviously it's going to increase it in my
Okay.
opinion.
Dude,
'Cause
that might happen.
you get
CGC.
any sort of Wolverine
Maybe
issue signed by Hugh Jackman, or a Captain America book signed by Chris Evans.
I just wasn't sure if that was.
then I mean,
inappropriate.
Well,
I
in
mean,
the world
no.
of
I mean, CGC's been doing a
comics.
lot
No,
of a lot of
Oh,
celebrity, a lot of celebrity ones. They had Selma Hayek for Eternals.
absolutely.
Yeah, they had a fucking Florence Pugh, and I wanted to send my.
What?
Did we end up sending that?
Language.
Never told.
We
What
have
the
the Black Widow, like the IMAX like movie issue that they did, like, and
Well.
I was like, why Matt was like, we should send that for Florence. I don't think we did.
I just
but
got
we
an
should have.
Inhumans not 5 in. I didn't know that she was doing the same.
She did already before you got that in Humans.
Oh.
BJ said the Miss Marvel you were referencing is Miss Marvel 16. It's the first Mystique. And the Iron Fist
That's right.
that Matt
So it's all still
referenced
tied to X-Men?
is first Sabretooth.
Marvel Team Up 100. First Karma from the new.
Karma, yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's still tied to X-Men in
So,
some regard.
I mean, yeah, no, like, whenever he would do a title that was outside of the X-Men, he was usually introducing a mutant of some sort.
The Spider-Woman X-Men crossover.
You have that?
Yeah, and he did it.
I think he did the Spider-Woman Negative Space cover, too.
Ooh, the one that I love, that I have. Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
That I found.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, way to brag on a live stream.
I know.
We're humble here at Bat City.
They are. They are.
Aw, thanks, Phil.
Says the man who sold a big old key today.
Nobody ever called me humble before. I don't know, Josh the other day, Josh Finland, who you might know if you've been here, told me, I said that I was a Slytherin. He goes, really? I would have assumed you were like a Ravenclaw or a Hufflepuff at most. And I was like...
I think Ravenclaw's...
close.
Close.
Ravenclaw maybe, but I've never been called a Hufflepuff in my life. That's just getting too kind.
You're good at finding things.
I am good at finding things, but that's only a Star Kid reference and not an actual Harry Potter one. BJ said Claremont brought all of his creations into X-Men if he wrote them in another book. So
Yep.
it's like they started somewhere else and then he brought them into
Yeah.
the X-Men
I
world.
want to read something non-X-Men.
Yeah, I would be curious to know if Claremont did anything
Let me
that
see what
didn't
he
become
did
an
that's
X-Men.
not X-Men.
I mean...
It's like Iron Fist.
Well, that
Well,
was
no,
Sabretooth. That was
he
Sabretooth.
said that was
He-
first
he put
Sabretooth.
Sabretooth in it.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Where's that 90s Image Claremont?
Well, if you look in the Image timeline, you'll find out if that's an option. He
wrote
said...
Wildcats. He wrote,
There you go.
Cyberforce #9.
That's what I want.
It's actually...
Who were
it
all
literally
later
is
revealed
actually...
to be mutants.
It actually is in the Image crossover, or the Image timeline thing. It actually does talk about what Claremont wrote there. I wasn't joking as much as I was joking. I was actually serious.
I thought you were joking.
JLA #94.
Get out.
What?
Yeah,
He wrote it.
JLA #94.
Wow.
That's
First
Phil's
appearance
book.
of Crucifer.
That's the
Crucifer?
one. That's the one Phil won.
Crucifer.
I actually may have that issue because that started with Grant Morrison.
There you go.
Grant Morrison wrote the first 3 or 4 volumes of that.
Well,
Great series.
bring some books for Claremont. Bring some books for Bendis. Bring some books for Bagley. Whatever
And he's
makes you
doing
happy,
remarks?
bring them in. Matt will clean, press them, and get them ready to go.
Bagley and Claremont are
Listen.
doing remarks.
Yes, Bagley,
I'm gonna
Claremont.
get a Claremont.
On
Remarks.
the CGC post, the example that they did for Claremont as a remark was Wolverine claws with a snicked and some claw marks. If that gives you any sort of indication that
Yeah, but now I
might
can get a
expect.
DC remark. Now that I know he's on JLA.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
a little flash.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What do you think he's gonna draw?
Whatever I ask him to.
No.
Whatever
no,
I'm
that's
paying.
not how that
You
works.
can ask, you can suggest.
But you'll get what they give you on a
Right.
remark.
Then I will send it right back to him.
You can't. Okay, well, you can send it back to CGC all you want, but Claremont's not.
We
gonna be
here
No,
at
let's
Bat
send
City
it
are a
directly
reputable
to
CGC dealer.
Claremont.
So what we get for the customer is what you're gonna get. We are not going to ask a refund of from CGC.
I will.
No, he won't.
I'll get hold of Matt's old lady.
We love CGC.
We do love CGC. Matt loves CGC so much that when literally, and if anybody from CGC is watching this, I hope that you are, because when Matt is having a bad day, he will literally say, today is horrible, I hate it, I'm going to call CGC. And he'll literally make up an excuse to call CGC in hopes that he gets to talk to his favorite customer service reps. Can I name your favorite? I was like, I don't know.
Doris.
No, her name is Lorraine. He loves her so much. I'm going to totally name her. But literally, Matt will call CGC to make his day better if he's having a bad day. That's how much Matt loves CGC. So,
and my dream job, apart from working at a comic shop, is to work at CGC.
We do love the CGC. Unrelated to CGC, I'm going to give you people a prize for watching us ramble through 2 bottles of wine.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. We're going to give a copy of Skybound X number 1 and 2. So, the thing is Skybound X came out and a lot of people didn't know what it was. It was the 10-year anniversary of Skybound. Really cool. They actually, which is an imprint of Image. It's Robert Kirkman's imprint of Image. But everything that's ever been printed on Skybound got a one-shot in there. I actually just read the Redneck one the other day. It was great. I don't know if you guys read that.
No, I didn't.
It's Bartlett telling Perry about his time where he wasn't with the family. And it's hilarious.
It's in Skybound X?
It's in Skybound X. I'll grab you the one that it's in.
Yes, please.
But the Skybound X number 1 has all of them have a Rick Grimes 2000 story, which is really funny because Rick Grimes is basically fighting zombies with a lightsaber. This has the story from Manifest Destiny and Ultra Mega in issue 1, and issue 2 had Birthright and Stillwater. So if you're reading Chips and R.C. Stillwater, you actually need to.
And this Stillwater story is really wonderful.
Yes.
So we got what issues here?
1 and 2. So it's a good starting point. Also, these are like $10 issues, $7 issues. I don't remember. It's on the front. $5 issues. So this is a good prize, great prize.
Not bad for free.
And you're getting them both for free if you can tell me Todd McFarlane once won a Grammy. What did Todd McFarlane win a Grammy for? If you can tell me, you get both of these issues. And I might throw some Saga swag in there.
Ooh.
You know, depends on how long it takes you to answer this question. But
did he win it for Bat Out of Hell?
No.
No.
No. Todd McFarlane won a Grammy. What was it for?
Love her.
BJ, no pressure, but when I said this was my question,
In
everybody
2000?
said BJ was going to get this. He didn't get it in 2000. I didn't say anything about 2000.
What year did he win the Grammy? That might be...
BJ already got it, as expected.
God damn it, BJ!
Korn's Freak on a Leash video. Todd McFarlane was the co-director of the Freak on a Leash Korn video, which I was today years old when I learned that.
Does that mean he could... No, never mind. I was going to say, could he get an EGOT?
I mean, he did get an Emmy.
Emmy?
Or an Emmy nod, at least, for the Spawn show.
Yeah.
So he would have to get an Oscar and a Tony, but yes, Todd McFarlane could
Spawn movies coming up.
Spawn movie will never get nominated for an Oscar.
I think it is.
I
but
don't.
a
Tony, though.
in a crazy world,
Spawn the musical?
Spawn the musical. In a crazy world, Todd McFarlane could someday EGOT.
Let's make that happen.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Todd McFarlane EGOTted before Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Yes. That's the world I would live in.
That's insane.
Everybody,
that
name
world.
your favorite EGOT award winner. Mine is Mel Brooks.
How many are there?
Did not now.
Whoopi Goldberg is another one.
No,
There you go,
Whoopi
Matt.
Goldberg is not. She just said a lot of really offensive things about the Holocaust, so Whoopi Goldberg is out on
Wait, they
that.
took her awards away though?
They didn't take her awards away, but I wouldn't vote for Whoopi Goldberg for my favorite for anything for her offensive
Sister
Holocaust.
Act, though?
Did Trent EGOT yet?
No.
No, he's missing.
The Tony.
He's missing the Tony.
9 Inch Nails the musical.
Dude, the Green Day has one.
What would that be called?
Okay, Green Day has American Idiot.
The Downward Spiral, the musical.
Double jazz album.
I mean, if Green Day has American Idiot, I believe strongly that Trent Reznor could do a much deeper musical.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because that's just based on the American Idiot album, but Trent Reznor is actually a composer at this point. So, I mean, Trent Reznor... See, BJ said, we need a 9 Inch Nails musical. It's true. He also said Mel for sure is his
Mel
favorite.
Brooks.
I mean,
Mel Brooks, if you're watching, I love you so much.
He's definitely not. Of all the people who might be watching our ridiculously terrible live stream, and it's not Mel Brooks, unless he's like, hey, I needed some content for some
Mel,
awful.
everybody loves some Mel. You do no wrong by me.
I heard he was writing a movie about comic book store live streams.
Oh,
Hey,
hey.
we're here for
No.
you. We are the parody of comic book store live streams in its truest intent. So, but yeah, there we go. I'm waiting for Trent to get that Oscar. I'll write the music. I will write the book.
It's a matter of time, I feel like, for Trent.
I mean,
at his level of output.
I'm surprised that he doesn't have the Tony yet. But he did. He's already had an Emmy, but I know he got a ton of them for Watchmen. So, so good. And I mean, did y'all ever watch Soul?
Yes,
the Pixar
I
movie.
love Soul.
Oh my god!
I can't watch Pixar movies anymore.
Oh my god!
What did Trent Reznor had a hand in Soul?
He did the music.
Wait, really?
He's John Baptiste.
Yeah, him and John.
I know John Baptiste did. I didn't know Trent
Reznor
Reznor did.
did all the in-space music in the.
Yeah, like when they
cool.
they go to like the afterlife or whatever. Like, if you didn't see that and think this was Trent Reznor, I don't know what you were thinking when you watched that, because literally it's like,
you know what? Now that you say it, I hear it.
It's just Trent Reznor like playing some music. Yeah, and BJ said he got his Oscar for Soul and Social Network.
Huh?
Yeah.
Interstellar. Who's
Interstellar.
the composer in
Oh, dude, I had 107-degree fever when I watched Interstellar, so don't ask me questions about that.
All right, sorry.
I have no idea what happened in that movie.
I don't know.
We're not.
That movie looks like the fever dream I was
Hans
having.
Zimmer. All right.
Was it ominous tones?
It was. Like, I feel like Soul, whenever he was in the afterlife, was kind of like ominous. Like,
I am going to drink my wine and not.
It was some ominous toot-toots.
I'm not
going
to compare the fact that you're comparing Hans Zimmer and
Hans Zimmer could go
Trent Reznor.
electric.
Where's that album?
He did. He went with Junkie XL on Batman vs Superman.
That's right. Great soundtrack.
Same soundtrack as Soul.
Especially Fight Night.
You know what? I do remember hearing that Wonder Woman theme in Soul.
All right, I'm done.
Lex Luthor theme.
Oh man. Well, this is why we invite Nigel to the live stream, everybody. I hope you were entertained for the last 3 hours and 2 bottles of wine. Thank you, Nigel, for joining us. I don't know if it made the comics any more entertaining or made you want to read anything, but we had the Keymaster here.
You know what? I'm going to try and be on more, so try and get used to it.
Whoa, really?
Maybe.
This is the first one I have heard of it.
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think anyone asked you to come back.
Well, guess what?
Nah, it's cool. It's cool.
Sometimes I might just be lingering. I might not be on the show, but I might be in the background. Like, hey, we should talk
I
about.
can't tell what's louder, you or the television.
Huh? What do you mean?
I thought that explosion was going to damage my eardrum, but I think it's you.
But now we have Nigel, so...
We start talking about... We just can't have Nigel on when there's a Donny Cates book. He gets really animated when he starts talking about Donny Cates.
No, I'm not going to do it.
His Twitter profile, our cover photo, is him and Donnie and Ryan.
And Ryan Stegman, yeah.
I threw Ryan in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's there.
A big old middle finger doll, yeah.
That's what's in the picture. Just
in the picture, in my profile picture, it's me.
Oh, I
Just
thought
me.
you were flipping off the audience.
It's literally Donnie, Ryan, and Nigel giving the middle finger.
Yeah.
How cool.
Just give me some credit. I was totally giving in to what they were doing. They were flipping off the camera. I'm like, okay, I'll do it too. So they influenced me. I'm just a sucker for that stuff.
Anyway.
Yeah.
In relation to all of that, happy birthday again, Matthew Rosenberg. We love you.
Birthday, Matthew.
If you haven't picked up a copy of What's the Furthest Place from Here, you should read that in honor of Matthew Rosenberg's birthday, or grab a copy of 4 Kids Walk Into
Or
Faith.
Hawkeye Freefall.
Or Hawkeye Freefall, or Task Force Z, or what is GC versus Vampires, or any of the other incredible books Matthew Rosenberg writes. Happy birthday. We love you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.